The following program deals with a controversial
subject.
The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation.
The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
the top talents in the comic book business are here to tell everything they know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tuesday night here on Beyond Wednesdays, which means Industry of Comics show, episode 43. Episode 43. I always, whenever I say, do you guys, like, when you see numbers or letters in your head, do you see a color associated with those numbers or letters?
I don't, but I haven't done nearly as many drugs as you, Brian. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So whenever I think of the number 3, I think of the color green because Larry Bird was 33. All right. So like whenever I see the color, or the letter A, I see it as red because when I was in school, the letter A on the thing was in red and they did different colors.
Yeah.
So
this is like the Tuesday night show, right? This isn't the Saturday night show. I just want to make sure you didn't mix your nights up.
See, Jersey to the Bay says the same thing.
But here's the thing: I understand what you're saying, Brian, because I do. I trained my brain in middle school, like early middle school, to start adding numbers immediately. So when you say 43, I just immediately go 7.
Yeah,
I'm just immediately add them, and then I'll break down numbers. Like somebody was asking me, "Oh, what's it mean to be 53?" My birthday was just 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I don't know. It's a prime number, and I just, there's just certain things that my brain works in numbers. Yours is more artistic, and like I said.
Yeah, I technically will think of a comic cover like 43 is Wolverine 43 with Sabretooth and all of that. So I kind of generate through there. When I used to work at Nordstrom, all the stores were numbers. So I kind of relate to those numbers as well. So I guess we will say we understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
Listen, people in the chat, Jersey to the Bay says if it's 23, he sees them in red and black. I understand that for Jordan,
Yeah, I get that.
So whenever I see 56, I see him in blue because of Lawrence Taylor. Or if I see 11, I see it in blue and with a red outline, So
34, red
34.
And orange,
I see it in orange.
Blue and orange.
Yep. So it's very interesting. You know what I mean? So, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that have similar weird things that, they see different words in different colors because of how they grew up or, for something like that. I don't know. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Right. So, I think it's like the letter. So it's funny. If you spell the TEH, Google or whatever you're writing on won't even correct it anymore. Because when they switch the X and the Y, which has nothing to do with H or E, your fingers actually type in EH when you're typing. And so there is a conscious thing to how numbers and letters do work in your daily rhythm. So,
yeah. Shout out to everybody that's hanging out with us live in the chat. You guys are amazing. We appreciate that so much. And if you guys get a chance, hit that like button. It really helps us out at the early beginning stages of the show. We got an interesting show tonight, you guys. We're talking about needle movers in the comic book industry. And there's a couple very interesting things that could be some major needle movers. I mean, one of them's already kind of moving the needle. And the other one we're hoping moves the needle. So...
Well, and not just that, but Brian, that thing I just sent you, that moves the needle in a different direction.
Yes.
How about we start there?
Yeah, we can definitely start there because that's a little bit of an issue around multiple platforms and multiple shows on the channel right now, and that being Diamond and some stuff going on there.
So if a lot of you guys don't know this, all the comic books in the country at one point came out of 3 warehouses: California, it was Southern Ohio, Northern Kentucky or Tennessee.
Yeah, somewhere
and
around.
Plattsburgh, New York.
Yeah.
They consolidated out the West Coast office, and it all came out of, for I think the last 12 years, it all came out of Plattsburgh or Olive Branch when they built the new Olive Branch facility for Diamond. As downsizing happens, and here's the thing, I've heard this excuse, that excuse, etc. But to make a long story short, Diamond has been forced to close Plattsburgh, which means all comic books will emanate out of Olive Branch, Mississippi. Is it not Mississippi? Is it Mississippi? I don't. Olive Branch, wherever.
Yeah. I thought it was in Louisville or somewhere.
Yeah,
in the United States, in one of the states in the United States.
Well, Kentucky or Tennessee or one of those. I can't remember. So wherever that is, I had heard they had to make the decision really fast to close it and restructure everything, and it's not going well. So this is an email that and retailers have been like, hey, where's my tracking number? For like the last 2 to 3 weeks. Every retailer I know that used to be a Plattsburgh facility, Plattsburgh shipping location, has said, I didn't get my comics today. I'm not getting them tomorrow. I don't know when they're coming. Customers, please bear with us. Other retailers are like, hey, the guy on the other side of town got his comics. Where's my comics? We regret the inconvenience, blah, 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 blah. This is after 3 or 4 weeks of this bullshit. And this is from Chris Powell, who, if you've heard me on this show, I think he's one of the biggest waste of spaces at Diamond. He's the one that approved the deal for, what was that book company that got exclusives and then stuck Diamond with the bill? Hastings.
Yeah.
He's the one that made the Hastings deal. He made the GameStop deal. He made the Toys R Us deal, I believe. So Chris Powell, Chief Sales and Service Officer. He's like a vice president. He's basically saying, go back up, and I'm just going to read it, Brian, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Distribution from the consolidation of accounts to Diamond's Olive Branch Distribution Center continue. Despite the distribution center team working through the past 2 weekends and additional shifts, for additional details on the transaction, please see the separate email that was sent earlier today, December 10th. Please note, for products with an on-sale date of December 11th, some shipments have been delayed to Thursday or Friday this week. Product with an on-sale date of December 18th is likely to be delayed next week. So they're already predicting that they are not going to be caught up. And I don't believe, Jesse, I think it's a skip week for the 25th. Do you know from news comic retailers?
Yeah, correct.
And does that mean it's going to be a skip week for the 31st too?
On week as well, because it's a short ship.
Right. So
short title.
So this is, because they usually will ship. So when they have a skip week, they know their warehouses aren't going to work. So they'll ship the 25th books in with the 18th order, and then they'll ship the 31st books sometime in that 2-week period.
Yep.
So you have time to process them. So you're not sitting there. Your customers don't have to come in on the 25th, et cetera. Our operations team has been able to move closer to a schedule that allows us to deliver shipments by Wednesday, while our long-term goal is to deliver earlier. So for the last 4 years, Jesse, new comics were arriving. No, it was actually, it was coming like 7 years ago. It was a Tuesday ship date, wasn't it?
Yep.
And so we would get the comics on Tuesday. That'd give us a day to process them, and then we would have them on Wednesday for the new comics. This basically is saying that they're doing away with that, and it's definitely going to be, you're going to get these things on Wednesdays from now on, which means you don't get that extra day of processing. Due to the necessary changes, we are now in the process of shipments. Operations is unable to provide retailer service with information on shipments any earlier than when they appear on the retail service website shipment tracking page. The most up-to-date information for retailers is on that page, so please check it each morning for tracking information. We appreciate your support and patience during this complex change, and we are working diligently to resolve these issues and return to a reliable schedule such as we have maintained in the past.
Pretty
Chris
unreal.
Powell, Chief Sales and Service.
Yeah. So here's the problem. Here, and this is the number one problem. I can tell you what the number one problem. That letter, I'm not showing that letter to a customer.
Mm-mm.
I'm the one telling the customer, hey, I don't have your books this week. They don't care when I say Diamond. They have no idea who is Diamond.
Yep.
They don't care. The
Yep.
only answer they want is, when am I getting my books? That's all they want. So, obviously I'm a pro Juppy guy. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm walking on eggshells here. But at the end of the day, if you cannot take care of your customers, that means you can't take care of your team. You can't pay them on time. That means you can't pay your power bill on time. That means you can't pay your landlord on time. And trust me, your power company isn't going to care who Diamond is.
Right.
Right? They don't care that you sell comics.
Well,
they just know they're not getting paid.
And here's the thing. Somebody who sells comic books online for 20 to 30% off, like Midtown or Lone Star or one of those places, I guarantee you they're getting their books on time. And when your customer doesn't get your books and they start panicking that the hot book of the week is not going to be in their pull box next week or the week after, they're just going to go online and get it.
Yeah, they then go online. I think there's a lot of things that come here. You're getting your books late. The books are coming in damaged, high percentage of damages. For stores that rely on new issues, which is a lot of stores that rely on new issues, that's a tough struggle there. And it's technically an unfair struggle because the company's been shipping items for 42 years.
Yep.
So traditionally, shipping doesn't get worse; shipping gets better, right? And
it does when you don't lose your two top customers, Marvel and DC.
Dennis, that's not an excuse. You should be better because you're shipping less books.
I know.
I
agree.
That's the whole point. So if you're shipping less books, your shipments should be better, faster. And I think, it's kind of the gut punch here is if a company comes out and they say, hey, shipping is difficult, blah, 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 blah. I understand it's happening over at the other two competitors. It's not happening at the other two competitors.
Jesse, so we just got a note in the thing from the Mighty Mel V. I go to Times Square, Midtown, and they didn't get any indie Diamond comic books last 2 weeks.
No, that's not. I don't think that's the Mel V. That's You Can Call Me V.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it's somebody in the chat is saying it's an indie comic book for the last 2 weeks from Diamond.
Yeah.
So when you start affecting your number one client, your highest sales client, you're going to be.
Yeah, and the way it goes, and I can't tell you the exact way it goes, but there are about 5 companies that before they touch anything, those 5 companies are done because they're a mass amount of books and they want to get them out, right? And so your team's already beat up after those 5 books by those 5 companies. Now they then do another XYZ. And you got to keep in mind, there's also less retailers there because most of them do get their stuff at Penguin or they get their stuff at Lunar. So I think this is a gut punch coaching thing. I come from a shipping world. And even before the show is like, could I fly up there and figure out the fix in a day? I don't think it's a day thing. I don't think it's here's how you put a comic in a box. I think it's a coaching thing on how do we get our product in and how do we line it up so it's streamless.
And Jesse, I had told you when I started deep diving into this 8 years ago, that warehouse in particular had a giant problem. They staffed almost all of their pick and pulls, their pickers, to load these comic books from temp agencies. Even to the point where one time I got a insider source that the temp agency accidentally hired 2 groups from rival gangs.
Yeah.
for the same warehouse.
Yep.
And there was a giant rumble in the parking lot one night after doing all of our order pulls. So it is not an ideal situation for anything out of that warehouse.
Right.
Well,
Let
on top of
alone-
it, on top of it, you know, we had this happen this last weekend where Billy came on the show. He dropped a video on his page. It's already got 1.6K views 3 days ago. Diamond distribution needs to change now. Destroyed comic books should not be the norm. And he put out a call, you know, to other retailers in this video saying, you know, leave a message below. Tell me about your damages, you know, all that type of stuff. And
well, Brian,
he's mad. I mean, he is really mad. He had I don't know if you saw this, Dennis, but basically he had a box, a massive, he said it was massive box, had about 200 to 300 comics on the bottom half, none of them packed like together or in bundles. They were just put in there in stacks, bubble tape on top, and then a Diamond Previews book on the top of that and sent. And every single one of the books that showed up were damaged.
Brian, did you honestly just tell Dennis Barger that Diamond doesn't know how to pack boxes and their boxes?
Don't worry, we talked about your little
I mean, I'm
Baltimore
kind of the
Comic
guy
Con
who
thing.
made that the issue.
Yeah, we
and
know.
they just dismissed me.
Well, they dismiss
I think
everybody,
that-
Dennis, and unfortunately, there's no place where people can do what you did anymore. I think the only place that you can do it is on things like this. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say again. You know, there's a famous story. Back in the day, I was getting about anywhere from 25 to 30 double boxes a week, and we had a week where
Jesse, hold on. We got to explain what a double box is.
a double box.
A
Go ahead.
single box is what we call a Diamond 200 count. 200 comic books fit in this box, next to each other, 100 stacked high on each side.
Yep.
A double box is two of those boxes in a box that holds
bigger.
300 to 400, depending on how thick the comic is.
Yeah. So I used to get about 25 to 30 of these a week. And one day we only got one box, and that was the COD box. And that COD was something like whatever, $7,000. So I'm like, I'm not paying $7,000 for one box. Right. So we got a hold of Diamond. I need these next day aired, blah, 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 blah. Now they actually next day aired it. So keep in mind, they next day aired 30 plus double boxes.
Right. But you didn't get everything because not everything is available.
Right, exactly. So I only got what was available. But here's what happened. At the end, they call me up and they say, we took care of you. If you would have taken care of me, you wouldn't have had a next day air anything. And so it's the same thing. You can't write a letter about being patient with and take care of you, because that's not a resolve. The resolve is do it right. When someone can't go on their computer and find their tracking number, you as a business owner, you start freaking out, right? Because if you have 25, keep in mind, I had 550 box orders, but keep in mind, if you're just a store that has 25 box orders, you got to tell 25 box orders that I'm going to disappoint you. I'm not going to have your product. And this is when you might be able to come in to get it. I just don't think that's a good way to do your business going into probably your best month of business.
Here's some interesting responses from people. This is exactly the situation my shop is in because of the shipping issues. And what you said about the quality is exactly what I expressed in an email to my sales rep at Diamond. Another person says, I've heard they have also stiffed lots of other shops and dealers on deals, taking their money for orders and never fulfilling them. My local vendor said he thinks Diamond may not be around much longer. Amen, brother. Done with Diamond too. 100% agree. Thanks for sticking up for the comic book community. I felt this when I go to my LCS and they need to explain to me why a book I ordered is damaged or even worse, doesn't show up. I feel you, brother. Diamond sucks horribly and it stinks. My shop hasn't had stuff for weeks. it just keeps going. Need to put Diamond out of business. Diamond does not care one bit. They make the same issues week in and week out. It's pretty sad. It's pretty ridiculous. I don't see any major retailers on there. Why do you guys think that there isn't more retailers that are loudly speaking up about this type of stuff and saying, "This is my shop, and I've had this problem in my shop for this long," that type of thing. It feels like it's a lot of.
So Brian, from 2005 to 2017, I treated Diamond as an abusive alcoholic spouse. I wanted them to be better because I understood my livelihood at that time rested solely on one company and one company only. I luckily was making videos at that time, my Facebook Live videos about
comic book videos, right?
Comic book videos, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, not my OnlyFans feet videos,
Okay.
Jesse.
Okay.
So I was making videos like, retailers, brothers and sisters, you need to have a secondary source of income that does not make you reliant on Diamond. Diamond didn't like this. I was teaching Amazon 101 to people like George Chase, who we've had on the show. At the time, I was experimenting with, could I pull off what Jesse was doing with the Comic Book Shopping Network? I just didn't have the infrastructure in place to be able to do that, plus all the other stuff we were doing. Yada, yada, yada. And I'm not blaming it. I lived an unhealthy life, but 7 years ago is next week is when I had my massive heart attack and double bypass surgery. And I realized this aggravation isn't worth it, man. I still dabbled with comic books, but I moved my store to a warehouse fulfillment only. I left probably about 100 of my poll members who were willing to travel 15, 20 miles to get their comics, and only polls only. I ordered a few things for spec variants, etc. And I ended all of that 2 years ago, because I just can't be reliant on new books. Plus, the new business model that I started was doing so much better without having a Diamond. It was stupid for me to continue. And to answer your question the long roundabout way, if you did not listen to me and Jesse 7 years ago, was it 9 years ago you got rid of new books, Jesse?
7 years ago, 2016.
Okay, so 8 years ago.
Yeah.
If you didn't listen to me 7 years ago and you didn't listen to Jesse 8 years ago, and you still rely on that box arriving on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever the hell it arrives, are you going to chime in? No, you're shitting yourself right now. You still rely on those clowns to get you your income. And if they don't deliver, you're dying.
Right.
And that's why I called it a needle mover the other direction, because they're all watching their livelihoods. We talked about it 2 weeks ago, Black Friday. You're supposed to be in the black 2 weeks ago, and you're giving away this and that and the other thing just to get people into your store to get that, and then you don't even have the product to get you there. Even if you made it to the black 2 weeks ago, you might have gone back into the red last week or this week. That's what those retailers are worried about right now. They can't worry about trashing them. They got to worry about trying to make them better, and it's impossible at a certain point.
Well, speaking of,
I will say where I might jump in on this and say social, what we're doing right now is still not a acceptable thing for retailers. Very few retailers are then go on a YouTube show and talk about. Me and Dennis have a bonus here. We're technically not with Diamond, even though I do still have Diamond. I do carry small amount of new issues. So we're not trying to protect our brand. We can come on here socially, talk openly, and not really worry about anything that might kick back on us afterwards. But we haven't got to that point where socially comic book store owners are going to go on YouTube or Facebook Live and talk about this. Billy's a great guy, but if you look at the pecking order in Arizona, he's one of the the B guys. He's second level. You're not going to have Samurai Comics with his 4 stores do a show and say, oh my gosh, Diamond is doing this and doing that, because we're not in that realm yet. I think as it becomes more acceptable, I've been talking about trying to get stores on this show. Dynamite, Billy, Nick is talking about, why can't you got to put comic book stores on the show? We can't get comic book stores to go on a live show, because they won't speak. They won't say what they want to say.
Candid.
And one more thing on that, Jesse, and it's what Jesse and I actually have talked about before. Jesse and I have the luxury of free time on a Tuesday night to be able to do this, because we're not chained to our store to process new books for Wednesday. We're not chained, worried about, will our rent check show up tomorrow?
Right.
We have the luxury.
Right.
We have the luxury to sit here and bitch.
Right. And they brought up 2 people doing a YouTube show. Okay, so that's four people plus Billy, so that's 5. Even if you said there was 50 people, it's not enough. You got to get in that 400 or 500 range. Talking in forums no longer works, guys. Right. If you're in a group in Facebook and you're in a forum, no one sees that other than the people in the forum.
And that's why Diamond flipped the fuck out on me when I dropped that box on stage, because as I walked away, I had applause from the majority of that room.
Right.
And that room had 500 retailers in it.
Yeah.
They do not want us organized.
But what was the response? The response was,
they did nothing.
No, the response was, I don't understand what you're asking.
Right. Yeah.
What, you don't understand? Books coming in damage? So at the end of the day, folks, here, let me put this in a nutshell so we can get on to the next thing. Diamond isn't going out of business. So everybody that's talking about Diamond going out of business, there's no chance in heck Diamond Distributors is going out of business. So get that into your head. They have 6 other brands that do fantastic volume. And so what we might see in the future is either a downsize or who knows what's going to happen. But just so you know, Diamond isn't going away. The Jeppies are fine financially. They're going to be okay. Trust me. This, I know Steve personally. I know Josh personally. This is eating them up. But what it comes down to is those people in the warehouses, these VPs that write letters. Letters mean nothing to me.
Yep.
Tell me what you then do by showing me how you're going to achieve it, and then let's see if it's reality.
Some other pretty sad news is multiple stores have announced either that they're closing or that there's been issues that have caused them to not be able to open their store again over this last weekend. I think I've heard about 4 that are gone, donezo.
Right.
So and
one
again,
of our local stores had a fire in Toledo, and they're out for the next several weeks while they rebuild.
Yep. So, I mean, it's just one thing after the other, and it's the holiday seasons. And we kind of talked about this last week where, the holiday seasons, it's tougher and tougher. You see more of these stores that close during the holiday seasons because they just can't do it. This is the time of year where it's very hard to sell, it shouldn't be hard to sell comic books and their things, but for some reason it is for some stores. And that's really tough.
I would be very cautious on going with this. And I know me and Dennis are then differ on this. I would be very cautious to whose leases ran out and they're going to do online sales. I would be very cautious to that.
But Jesse, don't you think the kind of person who is a comic book retailer is a different kind of person? The kind of person who my lease ran out and I have to close and I'm going to switch to online. So I'm going to be moving over here. Wouldn't you curse something on your way out? To me, this, and no offense to Toy and Comic Heaven here, I think this is I'm done with this brick and mortar situation, and I'm just going to.
But is that a comic issue or is that a brick and mortar issue?
Yeah. You know what's very interesting about that, you guys, is one of my friends in the comic book world.
Can I
Nick
just hold on
GQ,
before you get on that? Go back to that, Brian. Can you go back to that picture? I'm sorry to cut you off. Go back to the pit. Jesse, you like to comment about this. This store is closing. How many emojis are there down there?
Yeah.
1 thumbs up, 1 wow, a cry, a total of 5.
Yeah.
If this was the heart and soul of the comic community of whatever city this was, there would be 200 emojis on that.
Yeah. Well, there would be
Brian, that's what
No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right. And this was very interesting. Nick GQ put out a video, and it's funny because he's only got 15 views on it. Go sub up to Nick GQ's YouTube page, you guys. He's very entertaining. He doesn't let anything. He's not afraid to say anything, and he basically talks about in this one that exactly what you guys are saying. Brick and mortar stores will be extinct soon. There's no reason, what we've been talking about for a long time, in this world of selling comics and selling anything, most people are buying from online warehouses, live sales, eBay. It's getting shipped to them. And there's no reason to have a brick and mortar store anymore and have to pay those big rents and, set up everything and tear down everything and go to, do all this stuff that you got to do. And how hard it is when you can just do this from your house. And it's funny how he says it, he kind of says, you got to go to a store, you got to go set up, you got to get up every day, drive to that store, you got to set everything up, you got to worry about employees, you got to worry about all this stuff when you can be chilling in your pajamas at home, kicking back, putting stuff up on eBay and live sales. Why would you want to have a brick and mortar store?
Well, what is the number one reason to own a comic book store? Collections. What is the number one reason?
To buy.
Collections coming in. Yeah.
That is the only reason to have a comic book store and a brick and mortar now is to be able to buy collections. All right. And so what happens is we buy a collection. What's the first thing we do? Oh, let's see what we can put on eBay. Let's see what we can do on a live show. Oh, I got this customer who's looking for XYZ in Connecticut. So you do need a brick and mortar in essence to accomplish that. For instance, I have been in Florida now for 6 months. I literally on my phone right now have about 30 collections that are up for sale in Arizona. Right. And so, yes, I got to get them in the right places and to the right people. So people are always selling, and it is more comfortable to sell to Jesse at Jesse James Comics at Jesse James Comics store than Jeff Jones at the 7-Eleven parking lot on the south side of Phoenix.
Yeah.
Right.
Paying cash.
Yep. 100%. It's very weird, the world of being a retailer these days. And
and Dennis, tell us your projection.
Well, so right now, I finally got Jesse to agree from the beginning of this show, 43 episodes later, that there was at a very recent time 1,200 retail new comic book stores. I honestly, at the rate at which we're losing them and at the rate at which I've talked to other retailers that are like, I'm giving this till January 1st, I honestly think we're going to lose 10% of the stores in the next 2 months.
Right.
That's 120. That means we'll be roughly over 1,000 stores. And that's not healthy for the industry at all.
No, again, I've always used this number, 17,500 plus cities in the United States. Divide by 1,000. That's not a good ratio, especially based on the fact that in Phoenix, you have 20 stores in one city.
Yeah. Right? Same thing with Detroit.
The numbers are really skewed when you really get to those numbers. So you need to pivot. Coming off the diamond thing, you need to be able to say, okay, I'm not getting my product, but what am I selling today? Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's how you survive in this business. there is a notion that if you are a comic book fan, I don't know the number, but I'm going to tell you it's about 90%. 90% of the people that own comic book stores were comic book fans, right? And they go in, oh my gosh, I want to sell comics. Why? Because I love comics.
Well, and it's not just that, Jesse, and I've been pushing this number for over 10 years. It's not just those 1,000 comic retailers that own stores. It's the 5 people on average that they employ.
Yeah.
Those people are the core readers. Okay. So when an indie book comes out, you're going to sell 1 or 2 or 3 to one of those employees so that they can sample it and let the other customers know. So when you see a book that has a 5,000 print run and it's an indie book, I've honestly said 50 to 60% of those small indie books are probably being read and purchased by comic employees.
Oh yeah,
Well, the comic stores.
Yeah, and here's the thing that new publishers always thought, oh my gosh, if I go with Diamond, they have 5,000 accounts. So if people only order 2 books each,
yep,
that's $10,000 comics. Now they're realizing, well, people only order 2 to 3 comics each. That's only 3,000 issues.
Yeah.
So that's the issue going on. But I will tell you, folks, on the gloomy side, you have that. But reality is, retailers, whether you're selling new issues or back issues, you make it through February, March, you are doing something good mentally, socially. You're on the right platforms. You're not listening to what we're talking about right now. You're just focused straight. And I think that's what you got to do.
Well, and I think just like you and I have educated Brian here over the last 43 episodes, I think our chat is starting to catch it. The chat is starting to understand that the system is not working the way it was supposed to. And we have way less pushback from our chat now as we did 43 episodes ago. You know, and it's just simple logic. But I mean, just like Jesse was saying, we have doom and gloom over here. We got stores closing. And then you see this. Good. That was perfect timing, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're talking about the doom and gloom, and you're right. Now we have a couple of things that we're hoping might move the needle and get some new fans into said shops to buy more comics or more character-related items, and maybe help the comic book industry.
Yes.
Well, okay. First of all, Brian, I agree with your sentiment, and I'm pretty sure that's what DC thought when they were doing this. However, I think Jesse and I are going to break this down on a different level. Jesse, do you want to start?
Yeah. So on the positive note, let's go with the positive note here first. Dollar Tree has 15,115 stores. Family Dollar has 800 stores. They have a Canadian base, which is 85 stores, which is about 23,000. I'm going to cheat. I thought I was going to be able to remember all the numbers. 23,200 stores. Let's just say they bought 200 copies each for each store. That's a little over 4 million books they just sold. Now, keep in mind, dollar companies only deal with Keystone. They do not deal with anything below Keystone. So Keystone is, if they're $1.25, it has to be 62.5 cents, or else they're not doing the deal. If it's 63 cents, they're done.
Also minus the printing cost.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's 65 cents. A traditional comic costs anywhere from 35 to 45 cents.
Actually,
right?
Jesse, here's the thing. In the volume that you just said, it's actually going to be a slightly lower because they can sell that free comic book day at cost at 25 cents for a reprint. So I'm going to say, let's just say it's a 30-cent cost.
Okay. So a 30-cent cost. The point is they are producing volume. And volume is the only thing that matters as you get up in the scales of business, right? There's a mid-range that is about units. You get to that upper level, it's about how much money did we make?
Yeah, but all these are books that have been sitting around and they haven't been able to sell, right?
No.
Right.
These aren't new books they're printing.
No, I disagree with that, Brian.
Yep, 100%.
All of these books, these titles, sell amazing. Except for it doesn't sell amazing if they're sitting in a dusty long box in the back of your store for $1.
So where are these coming from? Because I don't think that these are reprinted books.
They are. Brian, that's Batman Eternal by Scott Snyder.
I understand
that's Batman
that,
from 10 years ago.
But it doesn't look any different. That $1.25 is on the bag, right?
Right. But here's the thing: they made dollar books out of almost every one of these. 5, 6,
I can
7
see the
years
DC.
ago.
The DC thing is the DC logo is different. Yeah.
These books are made specifically for Dollar Tree.
Okay.
And they've got new ads, new house ads inside of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly. So this is very cost effective. To the printer who is polybagging this is probably 0.05 cents on every bag. So it's not even a penny that costs them. It gets the distribution out. These are right when you walk into the store. So when you walk in, you'll then see the Christmas section, which is traditionally to the left on the newer stores. It's then be right there. On the older stores, the Christmas sections are to the right. And that's how you can tell if it's a new
I actually went into my store tonight just to check. They still haven't gotten these, and they have no clue they're coming.
Yeah.
So let me ask the big question. Is this going to bring new customers into comic shops to buy issues 2, 3, 4, and 5?
So I would rephrase that. I would rephrase that to, will this sell more comics?
Gotcha.
It will sell more comics on all the platforms that are available to that consumer. So if someone can grab that book and they're in DeLand, Florida, guess what? Then they have to go to Orlando to get issues 2, 3, 4, or they then go online to get that book. So I believe it will completely increase the sales of trade paperbacks more than anything else. And I think this is an amazing deal because it's just exposure. Exposure is the big thing. We can't bring a kid into the store and say, hey, son, pick out a $5 book without us saying, well, maybe you can get 2. Now you can say to your son or daughter, hey, you can get 3 books for $5.
Well, but Jesse,
$5. Yeah.
But at the current 1,200 retail business model, you can maybe get a few sales out of this. However, scroll back to that, Brian. Scroll back to the picture. Back to that top picture. I have probably half of Batman Eternal on my $2 3 for $5 section. I have Batman Rebirth in my $5 3 for $10 section. I've got probably about 50 copies of Harley Quinn from that era in my $5 3 for $10 section. Nightwing, I have those in my $5 3 for $10 section. Batman and Robin, I have those in my $2 3 for $5 section. I'm going to make, if they score any readers out of this, they're going to come to my store and they're going to find that stuff on my wall at volume pricing.
Yeah. If you're a store, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a Dollar Tree, if you have a Family Dollar, if you're in Canada, it's, what is it called? Dollar Giant in Canada. What you want to do is everything, once that store gets it, everything you post, you better be hashtagging Dollar Tree.
Yep.
Family Dollar, Dollar Giant. You need to be marketing to that store and not waiting for someone to come in. Go out and get those customers. I would take a picture at that stand in the store and say, hey, folks, when you get issue number 1, guess where you get issue number 2? I'm ready for you. Or if you need the trade paperback.
Dennis, you said something very interesting when we were having our phone call the other night about tonight's episode. And one of the things that you said blew me away. You said, I forget how you mentioned it, but you talked about how, I forget if it was Marvel that DC used to do their reprint issues and they would sell them at $1 a piece or whatever.
Yep.
And can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So 9 years ago, Marvel started doing dollar reprint issues. And I can't remember, but it was all mega keys. It was first Thanos, Iron Man 55. It was second Wolverine, Wolverine 181. It was just, if they had a series that had any kind of backstock to it that they could help push the trade or whatever, they would release a $1 book. And these books would cost us 50 cents a piece. So I would buy 20 of them. It was a loss leader to basically have something cheap to sell somebody who came in. Maybe they can't buy the 181 on your wall, but they can sure as hell afford a $1 reprint of it. And eventually those things became profitable. They became $10, $20 keys. And I loved it. It was a great program. And I talked to the Marvel sales guy, and he's like, Dennis, we'd love to keep making them, but you're one of the few retailers that actually is buying them in quantity. And to the point where they had a quarter sale, and I bought half of what they had just to have the quarter books. I've got boxes full of them in my warehouse because I'm like, when am I going to be able to buy Hulk 181 for a quarter? And now I think it's like a $20, $30 book. So that was great, but nobody bought them. And then they came out with the facsimile for $3.99. And fucking retailers bought them. They trained the publisher to stop selling a beautiful $1 book for entry level so they could sell a facsimile. And it's gotten to the point where they were making more off of facsimiles. So they started making facsimiles of $1 books in dollar bins for the originals. You look at those Spider-Man books that they made that whole run, the Puma run. Aside from the Puma, every one of those is in a $1 box somewhere in America. And they're making $3.99 facsimiles with 1 in 25 variants, and the retailers kept buying them. And if I was Marvel, I'd keep selling them.
Yeah, a prime example is this. So what I used to do is we would get the Walking Dead #1,
yep,
which is $1, right?
Yep.
Reprint. And we would put that Walking Dead #1 in every single person's box that did not have a pull box for Walking Dead. And we would give that to them for free. I was selling at a point, and if Sean was on here, he would endorse what I'm going to say. We were selling anywhere from 50 to 100 trade paperbacks of Walking Dead #1 every 2 weeks. Because we're taking our 50-cent investment and investing in that customer and saying, you know what, he's going to like this and he's going to need the trade. And so if you know how to market, same thing with Spawn, if you know how to market back in that $1 day, it's great. I think when you get to $3.99, it's a little bit tougher to throw those into the bag.
Yeah, you can't do that with the facsimiles because it's not smart financially.
No, it's not smart financially. Right. The books they're doing are kind of like Hulk 181. Okay,
they're reprinting every black suit Spider-Man appearance for some reason. Yeah. It's like,
and so short memories is what they're working on. Short memories or no memories, and the no memories is a new customer fan or a new customer who's come in, has no idea what black suit Spider-Man is, or Thor 337 has no idea what that is. Short memories are people that buy it forgetting they already have it in their collection. And that's what they're kind of basing it on. The problem is, as a retailer, we need to sell books that are extensions to the next month. So if I buy Black Panther #18, I need to be able to get that book because I'm selling issue 19. If you're buying Amazing Spider-Man 300, you might just be buying that 300. And that's it. You're not trying to go this way and you're not trying to go up. So it really depends on the store. But you should, as a store owner, these are bell and whistles books. They're gimmick books. And depending on the store who's buying them, they will know how to master them and sell more books. Your goal every day is to sell one more book, right? And I think that's when you sell those. Those shouldn't be the lead of your sell. That should be the addition to the sell.
Well, and I'm sorry, Jesse.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, and much like you and I always have these back conversations, I honestly don't think most retailers think like you and I. They don't look at a 50-cent comic book as a loss leader to sell a $10, $12 trade.
Right.
They just don't. When The Walking Dead came out with that quarter book, I bought and put that in everybody's pull box for free.
Yep. Yeah,
I was giving those away for months, if not years. I think I still had them in my free comic book day selection last year.
Yeah, I have that famous picture where I'm standing at the end of the tables.
Yeah.
Because I bought 4,000 copies of them.
Yeah.
And I think we gave them all away. We didn't actually sell one copy of them.
Yeah, what do I need a quarter for? At 12-cent cost. If I buy at one point, my free comic book day purchases every year was like $3,000 of 25-cent books.
Right.
And that was a loss leader because I understood. I signed one customer my first free comic book day, and it took me several years to realize, oh shit, I scored him off a free comic book day. He's worth $1,200 a year in sales. And I've had him for 5 years. I've paid for 2 or 3 free comic book days just off of his sales.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how you want to look at stuff. I think what you want to look at, I would be coming from corporate. The only thing I want to know is what their return policy is. Because the return policy at a Dollar General can nix this in the first quarter.
Do you think we'll get any? Do you think that DC will release any type of numbers? Because JSS Brooklyn has a great comment. He says, "Well, it will be interesting to see if the sales of these Dollar Tree comics versus the numbers of units produced, like to see what the sales are like."
So, Jesse, you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Dollar Tree clearances their stuff at half price at the end of every season. Dollar Tree will box up stuff and put it in holding till another season. Dollar Tree does not return merchandise as far as I've ever seen.
I would say that is probably incorrect, but that wasn't what I was asking. I was asking about the chargebacks that they might get. Yeah. Someone opens up a bag and leaves it on the counter. Well,
okay,
that's a send back, right? And so you got to worry about that. So what's that percentage? If you're selling 100%, you're selling 100,000 copies, but you get 25% back. That cuts into your margins. It cuts into your turn rates. It cuts into your sell through. Who is paying for the ship?
Jesse, honestly, and I could be wrong. I'll admit it to the chat. It's possible that Dennis is wrong. However, I think as these boxes start showing up at retail, we're going to start seeing pictures of empty boxes on floors at Dollar Trees. We're going to see complete sell-throughs at a lot of Dollar Trees. We're going to see a lot of people in our community buying up the entire display.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to predict that these things are going to sell so good that they are going to put another order in for another batch to fill up racks. But here's the thing. It's just funny, too. I just got one of those racks. If you go back to that rack there, Brian, from one of my retail buddies, and he had an extra rack that was the Flash that he didn't use because he didn't want to promote Ezra Miller. And so I said, I'll put it in my store. And that's what I've been putting all of my absolute and all-ins on. And
right.
They're selling. So I predict that if DC can make these racks for $15,000 trees and get these out into circulation, they're doing this as a, let's see if this is a viable model. They expect to lose some money because I think they're already losing some money.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I know some of you then get mad when I say this, but there's a good portion of comic book people that buy comics that don't care if it's a reprint.
Yep.
100%.
People that are going into this Dollar Tree Do you think they're then say, "Oh my gosh, this is a reprint. I can't buy a reprint for my kid because I want her to read Wonder Woman"?
Not a single one of them. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've got 2.5 years of sales proof, Jess. Sales proofs that they don't care if it's New 52. Like I said last week, I had a customer that wanted Mud Pack number 3 so he could read that series.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of I guarantee you, I'm guaranteeing that I'm not wrong on this. These things are going to sell out because it's a comic book for $1.25 and it looks nice and neat and new. And they spent a lot of time and money on those covers back when they did it. And this is just a rehash that is going to work for normies. Somebody in the chat said it. This is comic books for normies. It's my entire business model for the last 2.5 years. Comic books for normies. You notice there's go back to those titles again. It's when I describe my business model on this show for the first time, it's Batman, it's Harley Quinn, it's Nightwing, it's Superman, it's Robin, it's Wonder Woman. There's no suicide. Actually, probably Suicide Squad.
No, there is
suicide.
There's actually the list of
38 titles, 38 total titles. This is crazy. So here are all the titles. Aquaman, Aquaman Rebirth, Batman 89, Batman and Robin, New 52 Batman, DC Universe Rebirth, Batman Adventures, Batman Rebirth, Batman Eternal, Batman Brave and the Bold, Batman Joker War, Green Arrow, Dawn of Green Arrow, Rebirth of Green Arrow, Green Lantern Corps, Green Lantern War Journal, Dawn of DC Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, Rebirth of Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps, Harley Quinn, Rebirth Harley Quinn, Justice League Rebirth, Nightwing #1, Rebirth Nightwing, New 52 Nightwing Rebirth, DC Squad or Suicide Squad, DC Universe Rebirth Suicide Squad, the New 52 Suicide Squad, Super Sons #1, Superman #1, Rebirth Superman, Teen Titans #1, Rebirth Teen Titans, Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries. I don't know why there's 2 of them there. They must have messed up something. The Flash, Rebirth the Flash, New 52 Flash, Wonder Woman #1, and Rebirth Wonder Woman.
So you notice what's not on there. JSA, Legion of Superheroes. If it doesn't have a viable IP that they have milled in the last 5 years or plan on milling over the next 5, it is not on this list.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's unbelievable.
But this is the entire business model of my store. Comics for noobs.
Yeah.
If you've seen it on TV, this is it.
Yeah, I will tell you this. You always want to look at 2 ways of business. You want to look at the secondary market and you want to look at your primary market. And your primary market is your customers that come in every week. You then give them good deals. They got pull boxes. They're going into your dollar second. Your secondary market obviously is eBay, whatnot. Everybody's prepping for Walmart and their new rollout of live stream shows. Amazon, QVC will have their rollout. What is going to happen with this? I can tell you this right now. This is going to be a big, big win for DC. It's going to be a big win for comic book fans, and it's going to be big for comic book sellers, because here's what's going to happen. Those books are identified. No one's that, I shouldn't say no one, but anybody in the collector world, guess what, is they have to have all 38 issues to have a complete set. The other thing is, we were talking about this today. I spent all week trying to find Doritos Tasty Dill Pickle chips. Couldn't find them, right? Couldn't find them because Rob Liefeld made a big deal about it. I go online, they're $38 a pack. So for chips, Dorito chips. So we are a funny group of people. We have that small portion of, and when I say this, listen, I've done this 43 years. Dennis has done this a long time. Brian has been doing this a long time. The percentage of people that buy books for extended value is maybe 25 to 35% of our business. The 65% of the business who are just completionists and just want to read something, this is gold for them.
Yep. So All right, you guys. We're an hour into the show, and I think we have a couple good spots on what is moving, could be moving the needle in the comic industry, and this Dollar Tree is a big move, and hopefully we'll see something out of it. But there's one thing that's going on right now that we are seeing. We're already seeing the needle move on. We're seeing it on at least 3 characters. One that we've been seeing it happen for the last couple months. And I really want to give a huge shout out to one of who I think is the best, probably the best content creator in comic books, if not one of the top 3. And that's our boy Mickey over at Swaggle House Comics. And he put out this recent video talking about the move on in the secondary market on some of these characters, and we're seeing the movement on Jeff the Land Shark. We're seeing the movement on Luna Snow, and we're seeing the movement on Galacta. And what are we seeing them? Why are we seeing the movement on these characters? Well, we're seeing the movement on these characters because of this game right here, Marvel Rivals, which is a new game that just dropped on all platforms. And from what I hear, it's free to play, which is amazing. And they're probably going to make all their money on skins and everything, like has been happening on a lot of games. And we have 3 guests that we're going to bring in to talk about this tonight. But I kind of want to bring one in first to really talk about this, and that is, of course, our boy Swaggle House. Mickey, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah,
it's been a really good show so far. Like, with all, just to quickly touch on all the other topics, I love what you guys are saying, because in a nutshell, for me, outside of YouTube, my whole career, the words that I've always lived by are the Marcus Aurelius, get active in your own rescue, and another way to say it, it's like the cavalry's not coming. Like, there is no cavalry. You got a retail store, you got a comic thing, you think comic books are dying. Like, yeah, they are, unless you do something about it,
and Swag,
really
and it's you're absolutely right. And that's what I had to do after so many years of trying to be an advocate for the industry. I'm like, guys, if you can't see the burning bridges that I am doing to light the way, you don't follow me, you don't get behind me, I'm sorry, I'm just going to do it myself. Fuck you guys, you're on your own.
Yeah, I just want to say, Brian, where were you Sunday night? Was it Sunday night?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Swag had his call-in show on Sunday night, which sounds like it went really good, Mickey.
Yeah, actually, it was the first time. I've done a few of them. It was the first time where I actually, shout out to Jesse, who actually had to wait in the background. Usually it's like people will trickle in and I can fill up the show, but this time we actually had a line, so to speak. So that was good. Good to see that.
Well,
Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, thanks to Dennis and Jesse who hopped on.
And I just want to ask you one question. I come from ESPN. I used to do ESPN radio. So we had a pre-screener. You always have a pre-screener in radio. You have to. It's like mandatory. Even though someone can pre-screen and come on and talk about exactly what they said they wouldn't talk about. When you open up the line to this type of conversation, is there any hesitation on concerns of what might come up, or are you pretty much saying it is what it is?
Well, I'm definitely a little bit concerned. The first time I did it, I had the rule where you had to be on camera. And so I figured that would be a little bit of a deterrent from people going completely over the line. But then the other times I've done it, it's like I know you guys, so I know that you're not gonna at least
you're not gonna get any baba booies or
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Listen,
I tried doing that with Discord, and I can't get 30% of the people will actually click the link, and probably 10% of those people will actually continue through to set up the Discord. I can't get comic people to set up a Discord because I think most of them are like, I'm not even going to get involved in it. It's too difficult to me. So I think how you're doing it, Mickey, is spot on. It would be nice to set up a phone link, and I know there's easy ways to do that. I always thought that would be cool, but just putting out that
You
StreamYard
just
link.
want to be Art Bell.
I
That's
do.
all you're trying to
I
do.
do, man.
You want West of the
Rockies,
West of the
new
Rockies.
caller
No,
line,
you're on
yeah.
with Brian.
Area 51 line. I
Yeah.
want it all, baby. So, all right. So listen, your video, Mickey, as a matter of fact, I have this pulled up.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
Last week, I watched your video about the ripple of this game. Then I talked about it on this show. After I wrapped from this show, I went into the other room and my son came up from his hibernation of playing Marvel Rivals for the 50th hour that day. And I asked him about it. And the thing that hit me where I knew this was something was I go, yeah, I heard that they got like first appearances. He goes, oh, you mean like Jeff the Landshark and West Coast Avenger 17? And I'm like, okay, it's number 7. But the fact that you even knew 90% of that after living your entire life in a comic book store, that's something.
Yeah. That means
And
a
that's
lot.
when I went
For
on
sure.
your show. That's the main reason I asked to go on your show that night, because you were the guy that kind of had the first pulse reading on this. And I helped extrapolate it through my inside source. And I think
Which
the
we're gonna
rest of
bring
it got
on in
all
a second.
exposed that night.
Well, I want to talk
Yeah.
about the speculation part of it real quickly, because, you know, that's where you kind of keyed in on it, Swag, where, you know, they had that big sale of that West Coast Avengers book, which set record prices. Originally thought it was 500, turned out to be 350, which, as you said here, still makes it a record high. But what I think is very which to me is the thing where I realize something is trending majorly, is when you take a look at the comments, and the comments on this video are pretty interesting. So I suggest anybody go take a look at them. But also watching other people make videos on your video means a lot. And I want to shout out Journo, who put out a video basically talking about his comment. And I want to read his comment a little bit, because
I think you went past it.
did I already pass it? Let's see here. He says something that is pretty interesting.
No, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Somebody was replying about Journo. Sorry.
Yeah, he says something that's pretty interesting. But real quick, Swag, talk about what your thoughts are on the speculation on these characters and where you see it going.
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, one, to me, it was just like, okay, this game is having a cultural effect within like the younger demographic in a way that I think is even bigger than the MCU. And we talked about it on our call-in show last night with Comic Doctor, who he kind of agreed with me, where he's like, you know, the MCU really was for like millennials, I would say. You know, it's really more for like, you know, our age or even Gen X. And I'm not even sure like Gen Alpha is that into like the MCU movies. You know, I don't know. I mean, they could be, but for the most part. But I think that this game is going to have a bigger effect. And really, my whole point with this video was like, this is the cultural thing that's going to make the Marvel IP cool. And I don't know that it's going to lead to comic book sales, or I don't know that like every person who plays the game is going to like decide to go to a comic book store, but maybe like a small percentage of them will. I'm willing to bet that this game is going to have a bigger effect in driving that demographic to a comic book store than the Absolute Universe will, because the Absolute Universe is for the enfranchised audience. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's kind of really my whole point with it. But Journo was kind of, you know, going into it, and shout out to Journo. We actually mostly agree with, you know, what he discussed in his video.
Yeah.
But,
and what he talked about basically was the fact that he doesn't think that it's going to help in comic book sales, because the kids that are playing the game don't care about comics. They're not going to go buy a comic. They would rather figure out a way to read a comic on their iPad or on their phones. They're not going to go search out floppy books. And he calls floppies. Hold on, Jesse. He calls floppies a dying this is what he says in it, which is I thought was very interesting. He says Marvel knows how to milk the middle-aged man that speculates. I also do hope that at least a few kids might pick up a comic from this, but it won't be enough to make any difference in how the modern floppy comic is consumed and how it is a dying commodity.
No, and here's why he's wrong. We need to be aggressive in the platforms that we sell on. So if I know someone is playing a video game, where do I have to sell them on? I have to sell them on a eBay page, on a social network, on a Facebook page, on
Twitch.
Page, on Twitch, right? Exactly. Right. So the person that says, "Oh my gosh, it's not going to bring a person in the comic book store," you don't have to do that. And that kid that does come into the comic book store, great, that's a plus. But when we start micromanaging, oh my gosh, this isn't then be good for comics. As a whole, this is amazing. It opens up the other door, a big door. And I want to say one more thing, I'll let you guys get into because this is more your guys' topic, is when I grew up, if you wanted to play Atari in the new game, where'd you go? You went to Gemco, you went to Zordy's. Is that what it was? Zodi's. You went to Zodi's, you went up and you played the game on the thing because it was free. And then you said, Mom, I got to have this game, right? These kids, these people that are playing this, I'm going to tell you at some point, they're going to finish their game and they're going to say, here's the link to all these characters and the comic books that they are in. And that's where they are going to make their money in doing this, or they then put codes in comics. When you go buy the comic, like Fortnite, you're going to get the code so you can add something to your game.
I want to add something, Brian.
Okay.
So I've got definitely two stories specifically, but I'm going to tell this one story right now. So I collect anything that's dead media. I could not resist $5 digital cameras at Goodwill 10 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, this is such a huge technology. How is this only $5? And I just kept buying them. Out of nowhere, 4 months ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to price a bunch of these and put them in my front display case. And I kid you not, a group of 4 17-year-old girls came up and started asking questions about them. And I'm just like, this is a waste of time. Oh God. Okay. So this is a digital camera. It's 4 megapixels. It takes an SD card. And they're like, okay, I want that pink one. And I want that blue one. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And they were like $20 a piece. And they bought both of them. And then my secret weapons, my 2 children, my daughter, a week later is like, hey, Dad, I'm coming back for the weekend. Do you have any old digital cameras? And I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on with digital cameras? Oh, it's a new trend on TikTok and Instagram to take pictures with old digital cameras because there's no filter for that kind of grainy image. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We have sold 6 1990 to 2000 digital cameras at roughly $20 a piece to kids under 18. That is what Journo does not understand. They have these weird little idiosyncrasies that our past is niche to them. And if you can extrapolate a stupid little store in my stupid little mall to selling 6 old digital cameras, and you extrapolate that into this guy is the #1 player of Marvel Rivals and Jeff the Landshark is his main character, there is no reason why his gaming shelf in his little man cave is not going to have a West Coast Avengers 7 9/8 on his shelf, as he is a Twitch streamer playing Rivals. There's no way he's not going to buy a 9/8 and put it on his shelf. Yep. That's a trophy for him.
Yep.
Right. And can I say something? And just to shout out to Journo, because in his video, what he was getting at with my video was he was trying to say, like, it's likely that the people that are buying the stuff on eBay are not the players. It's like us, the speculators, who are buying it, thinking we're going to sell it to the players. And 100% agree. I mean, there's no way for us to really know, but in all likelihood, it's that. It's just the thing that you just mentioned, where it's like, okay, that gamer who's now going to want that little thing to go on their shelf just to match their other little, swag and stuff. Like the reason I made this video, one of the things I said was, it's like, hey, I'm making this video just so you guys know now, like, hey, if you're a retailer, you're a comic seller, you're an LCS store, like, it's up to you. Like, do you want to connect the dots for them? You know what I mean? Like, they already love Jeff the Land Shark. They like collecting stuff, or they like their little, like, pop figurines and all that stuff. So it's up to you to make them understand, hey, did you know that character originated here? And do you know that they have other stories? And maybe you want to take a 5-minute break from your screen. And, it's like this a little side note, but like, I just think like, with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're like looking for reasons to get offline, and like comic books can be like a great reason for them to be like, hey, you want to go outside for like 5 minutes and like enjoy, like your nerd hobby, like you can do that in a comic book store. I don't know. It's just my little thing.
Well, and it's what Jesse and I say. A lot of retailers are too lazy to pay attention to these trends and start preparing for it. I'm automatically now going into Backstock to find these. I went into a random box and found a bunch of Thor #1 by Donny Cates because it's got the Herald of Thunder in it. Those are going on my wall.
Yeah. Listen, we haven't talked about the gameplay itself because we have two guests tonight from two different generations that are going to talk about the gameplay, and I want to bring them in. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, a first appearance on any Beyond Wednesdays episode. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Barger is here. Young Dennis Barger is here.
Hi,
Junior.
chat. Hi.
How you doing, brother?
I'm a new generation right here. I'm the Discord user. I'm the video game player, anime enjoyer.
The target audience, brother. The target
Exactly.
audience. And we also have another person who has been on multiple episodes of Beyond Wednesdays, who is a comic creator himself and also an avid player of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry from Niobe Comics. How you doing, brother?
Whoa. Man, I've been dying for the last hour of these conversations, and you guys have covered so much. And good to meet a fellow Rivals player, brother. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah.
Epic. And I didn't know the Haas was going to be on. This is so cool. You know what I mean?
yeah. We got to get the whole squad.
But first of all, dollar store thing. I know you guys have beat it to death, but that is huge. As a guy who doesn't own a comic book store, and for people that like going to the comic book store is a journey, or you guys have mentioned like some cities don't even have them. This is where the Dollar Tree store comes in. And it's limited thinking to think that it's just going to end with issue 1. Hey, we're just going to put out new 52 reprints of all those and we're just going to leave it there. No. Think, because me and Ben Dunn were talking on my channel a couple of years ago, and we got laughed out of the room for it because everyone said floppies no more. No one's going to go into a 7-Eleven to buy off a spinner rack. Well, guess what? You have your big blue spinner racks now in every Dollar Tree that there is, with comic books for $1.25. No one cares if they're reprints. Collectors are going to buy them because they're different. They got different ads. Normies are going to buy them because they're cheap as hell. And I think if they're smart, they put out, they have such a backlog of books that no one even really knows exists, because let's be honest, most normies don't even think comic book stores still exist. That's just the truth. They're going to see all this new stuff. It's going to be new to them, and they're going to buy it up. And if they can put out monthly books that way, that changes the game forever.
Yeah. And same with this. I mean, you said it in the chat, and I want to talk to Alex about this in a second here, but Marvel needs to have books that are $1.25 of these Rivals characters available. One of the things that your dad said, Alex, which blew me away, was the fact that for most of your life growing up in a comic book store, you never really got into comic books in a big way, and then this game comes along and you're talking about first appearance, and where these skins.
To be fair, I do know a lot of first. I have always been interested. I mean, I work at 2 comic book stores, so that's kind of my job in general. Like, when I saw that they did the Fortnite recently, Fortnite Marvel collab, I'm like, wait, why are they dropping this now? The Fortnite collab was like a month ago, and they're dropping the comic book after the collab, so people can't even play the game when they are actually seeing the comic book.
Yeah.
This game is going to drive sales to in a variety of levels. Like you talked about Jeff the Landshark and Luna, and who was the other character you said people were specking on?
Galacta.
All right. Well, Penny Parker's probably going to be another surprise hit for you. Okay, she's one of those obscure characters that people are really starting
Luna
to love
Snow.
now because she's apparently a great tank. And even popular characters, but aren't on the big radar, like Magic. I guarantee you, Magic is going to sell like wildfire. Now, you put Magic on something, that is going to sell. J. Scott Campbell's doing covers for the new Magic series starting in January. I bet you those are going to sell. And not only that, think about all the cosplayers that are going to show up to conventions now that never read a comic book before, but have played this game. And they're, instead of cosplaying as Diva like they did for years and years and years, they're now going to come in and cosplay as Luna Snow, even bringing more attention to these characters. People who have no idea who Cloak and Dagger are going to know who Cloak and Dagger are through the game. This opens doors.
And it's up to comic people to connect the dots. Like, how many times I can't tell you how many times I go to like San Diego Comic-Con and you see like a million cosplayers who, you know, walk their way over to the comic section, you know, and they love these characters and the dealers just like don't help them. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of looking and they're intimidated and they're kind of like, well, I don't know where to begin. And it's just like, that's the thing that's really missing. And
Swag,
I just point out this game, you have a huge opportunity to do.
I don't know how long
again.
you've been in the game, but there's a famous incident with Tony Moore. I think it was Tony Starman, Tony Harris.
Yeah, Tony Harris.
Tony Harris, where he's like goes on social media and is like, "Can you please get these effing cosplayers from standing in front of my table?" And I'm just like, Tony, these people have hundreds of dollars to spend on costumes. Maybe you should start marketing to them if you see too many of them. And the backlash was huge from the cosplaying community to where he had to like rescind that within a couple weeks.
Oh, wow. I was not around for that one.
Yeah, look that one up. So there's been a war between the old guard, the mid guard, and now the new guard. And I honestly think, Alex has been doing conventions since he was a kid too. And Alex, do you remember when Overwatch had its second year and we took, we took everything Overwatch to an anime convention, and it was one person after we're wiping dust off the top of Overwatch Funko Pops and selling them for full price.
I have Overwatch Funko Pops here. Here's the thing, like someone was saying, like this whole journal thing, that gamers aren't going to be invested. No, here's the thing. Gamers like what they like. And so gamers like Squirrel Girl and they play Squirrel Girl in the game. That then will get them interested. They're not going to get interested in Squirrel Girl through the comics first. You have to give them something else that they're into first. Then they get them into the comic book. Oh, Squirrel Girl's first appearances, whatever it is. Oh, maybe I'll look up. And, maybe they're not going to flock and buy, first appearances off the wall. But if they see Squirrel Girl on something, because now they're familiar with her, they might buy that.
And honestly, they're not going to dig through a dollar box to try to find a random Squirrel Girl. But if you figure out a way to find your Squirrel Girls and put them up on the shelf at $5 a piece, you might have a sale.
Let me tell you why I think that there's two things that I pull from this that I think are huge to me. First of all, the first being, I talk about this a lot. Shout out to Mike Hansen, who is another co-host that we have on the channel a lot, especially when we were talking about original and art and stuff on Wednesdays. And he, at San Diego this year, we were out to dinner and we were talking about, the industry and that stuff and getting kids in the industry. And he told me a story about how there was a moment where his kid came to him and wanted to learn more about comics because of I think it was Marvel Snap or something like that, one of the phone handheld games. And there was this thing that happened, a bonding between them, where a younger generation is asking their parents or the older generation about comic books, and they get into it together, and it can bring kids and their parents a reason to go to the comic shop, and parents will get their kids into the thing that they have been into and that they maybe couldn't enjoy with their kids because it just wasn't feasible. It wasn't something that their kids were into.
I was in the comic book shop, and there was a kid who wanted X-Men books. He could have been any more than 8 or 9 years old. Okay. So it kind of shocked me a little bit that he's in there asking for X-Men books. And I was right by the counter, and my buddy who works at the shop was busy. So I turned to this kid and asked him, what are you looking for in X-Men books? And the parents tell me, well, he's been watching X-Men 97 and he really loves the cartoon. So now he wants the books. So I went and dug him what I could find, and couldn't find any of the 97s because we had sold out. But I gave him all the X-Men 92 back issues for like $2 a piece. You know what I mean? And the kid must have bought them all, Yeah. And there ain't no reason why, if a cartoon can do that, why a video game can't do that?
Here's the other thing, Larry, is that there's another important thing that's happening in this game that blew me away that I didn't know about till tonight. Now, Alex, before the show, me and him were talking about the moment, where, the story Dennis tells about West Coast Avengers and Jeff the Landshark of first appearance. Well, it's not just that they're showing first appearances of the character, and this is
they're showing
so
first
smart.
appearances of the outfits.
You got it. They're showing first appearances of the skins, and that's not only gonna help the kids or not just kids, the players, the new players to comics, but guess what? That's gonna help us who have been in the game for a long time to find out these great books, to go speculate on costumes again, which hasn't been a thing.
It also helps out the cosplayers because now they know where to go for the references.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's such a big deal. I mean, when's the last time that you can think, Swag, when people have been buying costume first appearances? It's been forever since that's happened.
Yeah, it's been forever. And I want to point out, I noticed someone in the comment section mentioned like, well, video games come, this is just going to be a flash in the pan. And listen, who knows?
No. Overwatch lasted for 8 years and still going strong.
I know, right? Well, I want
not
to
as strong, and I think this will kill Overwatch.
Oh, this is
Overwatch. No. I think this is going to put competition on Overwatch, and this is going to set a lot of industry standards for gaming. But I don't think anything has ever come close to being a killer for any popular game. Every game always says, "Oh, this is going to be the killer of this. Is going to be the killer of that." It's not. It's kind of hard to kill an actual game, especially when it's built up a big fandom.
I'll say this as a guy who's played both games, right? I played Overwatch since the day it came. I'm 50 years old. Mind you, I'm not as young as you, but I've been gaming, since the Atari 2600, right? So Overwatch I played, and then when they changed it to Overwatch 2, they nerfed a bunch of characters. They made it 5-on-5. They lost a bunch of player base, and those players are coming to Marvel Rivals in droves.
They are, yes.
Yeah, this game is doing so well. There has not been a game launched to this type of fervor in a little while, especially a Marvel game. And it's not just like where it is now, but like where it can go in the future. Like the developer's killing it. It's got the Eastern style, which I think is a huge boon for this. And then like, maybe in the future it becomes an esport. Maybe one day Alex is on stage in front of like 20,000 people winning, $100 million for the championship. And when he uses, Jeff the Landshark and does the sickest play and it becomes the biggest meme, like reshared on every TikTok ever, like that's going to have an effect, like already now there's already memes coming out of this game with like Winter Soldier, like I'm sure Alex knows the again meme, like everyone's using it again.
God. Well, I do play comp. I'm currently gold, so I'm currently rocking a lot of Hela, a lot of Psylocke. If I am forced to play a roundo role, I will play either Jeff or Cloak and Dagger for support, and then for tank either Doctor Strange or probably Magneto or Thor.
See, you'd be like the perfect guy to have on team because you play everyone I don't play.
Yeah.
I love Magic. I love Luna Snow. I've been playing Iron Man. Punisher is sick. Scarlet Witch is sick. Star-Lord is sick.
Pause for 1 second, Naomi. For everyone in the chat, here's a translation. Wah, 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 wah.
We're about to get some gameplay, so we're gonna show you guys some gameplay here too. So And there's a
Don't
lot of
forget
people
to hit that
asking,
like
Alex,
button.
what is your handle so people can reach out to you in the
Oh,
game?
yeah. I don't really stream that often. I think I stream Valorant. I'm trying to get into streaming Marvel Rivals. Twitch.tv/thebomb8008. If you type that into calculator, you know the secret tech.
Yep.
Alex will be your speculator in the hole. You know,
Mhm.
just go over there. He's like the new key collector here.
So, Swag, I want to ask you a quick question on what we're talking about. What is more important in your world, the game itself or the social value of it?
Oh, well, I guess it's I think it's the social value that I think I've seen. I mean, the game is great. It's great. It's just a game of the time. It feels like, I've done a lot of work for like Riot Games and Activision, and like, so I really like kind of understand this world really well. And it's just like, this game's just on point. It's making all the right choices, and it's just really popular. It's set up really well, and it's the sentiment within the the culture of the game is so positive that it's like Marvel needed something like this, because like, how cynical is everyone towards like Marvel IP, especially the young kids? Like, I don't think they think the MCU is that cool.
Is he going to be playing live? Is that what we're going to be watching?
Yeah, let's get some gameplay on this.
I'm going to log
ahead and
into
launch.
my game, and I would love to have a match with him.
Yeah, I can. Let me add you. What's your username?
I'm just getting it all loaded up now. You do a match first.
Okay, so let me
get
tell
this
a
set up.
story real quick to answer Jesse's question that he asked Swag. I want to tell a little history story. So 9 years ago, I was frustrated with my son. He used to sit in the back of the store with his sister, and he would watch British people playing Minecraft all day long. And I'm like, son, why don't you play this game that I paid $60 for instead of watching other people play it? And he was like, Dad, I just want to see what they're doing. And he would watch hours of this. And I was literally that typical dad. Like, oh, go out and play. Oh, go do something else. What are you doing? And I go out front and into the front of the store, and some guy is there, and we start talking about 80s G.I. Joe cartoons. And all of a sudden, it just hit me. And it was one of the best revelations I think I had for being able to be better for my son. He is learning a cultural literacy that I have with all of the stuff that I watched as a kid. I had a cultural literacy with anybody who walked in, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you name it. If it was an 80s cartoon, I could carry on hours of conversation. And I realized the shit that my parents told me to stop watching became my livelihood, became my passion. And I can't begrudge him that building of his cultural literacy for his generation. There's going to come a time where like, oh, did you used to watch so-and-so play Minecraft? Oh, I did too, man. I watched hours of that. That's something that you have to let go and let the next generation build their cultural literacy. And this is now part of that.
Well, let me ask something on the gameplay. Now, you see a lot of gameplay like this, and it's like first-person shooter type stuff where, they have these long-range weapons. A lot of these characters are close melee.
Yeah, they are.
So
Listen, when Magic teleports into the group and she goes Dark Child, you want to watch a bunch of people scatter like ants. It is amazing.
They did a great job getting the power fantasy right for all the characters.
You would think that melee would be tough in a first person shooter. It really isn't that tough because most of the melee characters have some sort of long range. Like even Magic in the game, she can throw her sword.
Oh fuck. Well, the spawn point changed. I was gonna switch to a melee character to show it off, but
So is Psylocke a ranged character or what?
Yeah, so she has basically a shotgun. So like her combo is gonna be you're gonna like fire, you're gonna throw your dagger, you're gonna pull out your dagger, you're gonna dash, and then you're gonna melee. And that's gonna usually one tap all squishy characters. So she's gonna like want to focus down like their back lines.
So the red outlines are your enemies, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And this is fast-paced action. He's got to look around every corner. Unlike a lot of other games, you got to be aware that like Iron Man might be in the air ready to blast you. You know what I mean?
That's his ult.
There's an ult right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and people in the chat, it's getting like a lot of frame rate loss. So
Yeah.
it looks a lot
is it?
smoother than what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's much smoother than this. Yeah. Yeah, this looks amazing. I mean, it really looks good. They, like you said, Swag, they did a great job of. Oh man,
Well, the characters look great, and that's one of the things that actually is getting a lot of hate from some people is that, the characters look like the way they should. There's been nothing forced upon you. No agendas are being driven. It's just a great game.
It's just good character design. Like every character, they have like 4 different timelines. Every character has like their own unique way of playing.
Well,
Is
I
there-
also
is there
love
story
that this
mode?
is clearly Asgard. This is clearly Asgard.
Yeah, so they have some lore to the game. Like they're building some like lore to the game. There's no like story mode yet. I don't think they've promised anything like Overwatch, who failed to do it. But
There is this huge theme, and if you're like Swagahaw said, if you connect the dots, you'll see the dots connecting. The big theme in season 0 is
it's
Doctor
Doom
Doom's
versus
rise.
Doom.
Doom's rise. Now, what are we seeing in Marvel Comics right now? A bunch of stuff with Doom. What have we
Yep.
heard about the MCU right now? Robert Downey as Doom. They're starting to
Yeah.
correlate now.
Yeah, you can tell that the Marvel marketing has done a much better job creating synergy amongst all their divisions.
That's Mantis ult.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if they don't directly relate, everything right now is Doctor Doom themed, including this game. Doctor Doom is the big bad
So-
evil right now that everyone is worried
Smart.
about in Marvel Rivals.
Smart.
So, are you winning or losing now, Alex?
We're not doing bad, but like we're kind of getting hard pushed. My team isn't doing the craziest. Their team is popping off way more.
Yeah, my nickname is Niobe, brother. I don't know what system you're playing on, but
Oh, I play PC, so
PC. He's PC Master Race. You see that?
yeah. Okay, our Jeff got
I'm on the
one
PlayStation
person.
5, but I can put it on the PC. I
No,
got enough
there's
space.
crossplay. There's crossplay as
Oh, yeah.
long as you're not playing ranged, so you're good.
Oh yeah, well, we wouldn't play rank. We're just doing a match for show here. I'm just gonna jump in as Magic. You play Psylocke, and we'll just X-Men this thing up.
Yeah.
This is.
What do you think, Brian? Brian? Are you a gamer? Is this something that would interest you? in
Okay, so
actually trying?
here's my problem. I started. I was a gamer as a kid. Obviously playing Nintendo and Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo is my all-time favorite platform.
This is a very fun character to watch.
He is gross. This guy needs a nerf.
Yeah,
He
Sword
does.
Master.
Yep.
And then I got into as a teenager, I decided to quit smoking by playing GoldenEye.
That's hella ult.
And I
That
just became a
no,
master
that's
at
their no.
GoldenEye. I was, just we played that game for hours and hours and hours for like 3 years straight.
Wait.
And then I kind of
Were
quit
you
playing
playing
games.
as Odd Job?
Well, no odd job allowed, dude. So after that, I quit playing video games, obviously for reasons, and I didn't get back into video games until a friend said, "Hey, I want to play this new World of Warcraft game, and I have
it's not
two
autocorrecting.
free account things. Do you want to jump in with us and just try it?" And I said, "Okay, I'll do it," and I just fell in love with it. So here's what I will say. I don't think I can get back into a first-person shooter type gameplay. It's just, it's not fun for me anymore. I tried playing Halo. My best friend who asked me to get into Warcraft stuff was a professional MLG Halo player back during the days of Final Boss and Straight Ripper and all that type of shit. And I just could never get into Halo or first-person shooter stuff.
No, I can't.
If
So
they
I play-
ever did a MMORPG type game with these characters, I would be all
hold on,
in.
pause, bud.
So
Oh, wait,
I'm,
you're still in the
I'm
map.
very
Okay.
similar to Brian's story on this. I started with Atari, and
We
then
for
I
sure
stopped
lost.
everything until
Yes, I will touch.
until
Don't
Super
even touch.
Nintendo came out, and
No.
I saw that Star Wars game they have,
Yeah.
and that one pulled me back in. And then GoldenEye happened, and then we had this new thing over at the college computer lab called the Internet, And there was a game called Marathon on it, which is actually Bungie's first attempt at Halo. And I got super addicted to that. Hours in the computer lab playing this game where we ran around a universe and shot each other just like GoldenEye. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And that morphed into Halo.
There it is. I got his ad. We're gonna do this, Brian.
I have played this game. So if you can tell, I have the alpha tester banner. I played this game in the alpha when it was coming out. I played the game in the beta. I have like 25 hours in this game, level 26.
So when you were playing the beta and stuff, were you like were you like one of the partners? If you watched your stream for X amount of hours, you would get
no. I don't have. No. I mean, I think it's just Twitch in general. Like, even if I was to stream, you get the Twitch drops. It's just as long as you stream it on Twitch and people watch you, you get it. And like, this game is so easy to download. It's literally on Steam, Epic Games, Xbox, PlayStation. You can download it on your Mac.
I think it was you, Swag, that brought up. It had 72 concurrent, 72 million concurrent players on stream, right? On Steam.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It was, but whatever the number was.
10 million players over the course of 2 days.
Yeah.
And that's just the Steam numbers.
Right.
2 hours, 10 million players. And it concurrent, it crushed Overwatch's all-time concurrent.
Wow.
So I want to tell this story.
High up in sales in Steam as well.
So while they're playing this, I want to tell the story that I told on Swaggle House's show the other day. So I had a tie-in with a radio station that did a release of, since I'm the comic book guy, and they had this Xbox 360 Marvel Ultimate Alliance advertising campaign. It was the week that Marvel Ultimate Alliance came out. And I told the thing on Swag Show, 3 of the kids that work for me, they asked if they could get off early so they could go home and take a nap and wake up at midnight to buy Ultimate Alliance at GameStop. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And they came in the next morning, and the first thing one of them said was, hey, where are all of our Deadpool issues? And I'm like, yeah, they're in the back in the dollar boxes. And they both came out with big stacks of Deadpools. And I'm like, okay. And then later that week, somebody came in and asked for a New Mutants 98. And at that time, it was like a $20 book. And I'm like, yeah, it's over here. It's $20. I'll buy that. And then later that week, I was asked to go on that radio show and judge who got the free Xbox 360 and the Marvel Ultimate Alliance pack. And for doing that, they gave me one.
There's Spider-Man art blank. Watch out.
So I brought it home and put it in the store, and Alex, I want to say 4-year-old Alex, 3-year-old Alex.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And I played Marvel Ultimate Alliance in the back room of the store, and I'm realizing, oh, this is why Deadpool was like the best character to play. He had the best lines that nobody had ever heard of who this Deadpool guy was until that game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm like, yeah, Deadpool is going to be a thing. And so I went ahead and I started looking up on eBay what some of these Deadpool back issues were going for, and they were starting to climb. And to answer, I guess, kind of the retort for Journo is it's the pebble that drops into the pond.
Yeah.
That starts spurring it. And I guarantee you, Ryan Reynolds is like, oh, I want to play Deadpool. You know, oh, you want me to be in this? Okay, I would love to play Deadpool. And they're like, why is Ryan asking about Deadpool? Okay, well, put Deadpool in this Wolverine movie. It's a throwaway character anyway. Who cares? You know, and that's the pebble that launched all of this. Billions of dollars later. I don't know what Jeff the Landshark is going to do, but if people are paying attention to Jeff the Landshark because of this game, it's only a matter of time before Disney pays attention to that until you know, the game developers say, hey, do we want to have a Jeff the Landshark regular game or, you know, whatever? I don't know what the pebbles and the ripples are going to cause.
Jeff the Landshark is the next Baby Yoda. That's the ripple.
No, exactly.
I'll say this too. It's like I didn't even really know who Jeff the Landshark was. I guarantee I've never read a Jeff the Landshark comic book, but after playing this game, I'm like, oh, I kind of like him, and like it makes me want to buy it. You know, which is I'm an easy.
I had no idea who Luna Snow was. I bought her first appearance just last week for $20, and
I did play Future Fight. Like I was a big mobile / just in general Marvel fan. So I did know a lot of the characters because they constantly bring out new characters. Like Lin Lee is the Iron Fist in this game, and in Marvel Snap, that's who they use for their like Sword Master.
Yeah, so he is Sword Master. Lin Lee is.
How old is this game?
Just came out a couple days
ago.
It's
been around for a while, like the beta stage, but it's only been live for normals for like not even a week yet.
Alpha was a year ago, right, Alex?
It was in like April-ish.
Okay, so like 8 months ago, and then the beta started right around San Diego because Alex needed me to go get a special code from the Marvel booth at San Diego so that his friend could run in the beta.
Right. And Swag, when did the bump happen?
Well, one of the interesting things with my video is that I didn't realize the bump was happening.
Oh,
because when I did my first video, when I did my first video, and I knew that this game was coming out, and I realized like how popular it was, I was like, oh, let me check in on like
this game has been on my radar for like literally since they released the trailer.
Right. So
because I hated Overwatch for a while.
Right. And so my first coverage of it was like, oh wait, look at these sales ever since the trailer has come out, and it was like over the course of 6 months, and it was just a book that like.
Oh, I wish.
I didn't realize nobody was talking about it, but it had been slowly just kind of going. And I thought that was really interesting. And then it was after the weekend, you know, when we did the video and had our conversation and stuff, that I checked back in on Jeff the Landshark.
Where's Iron Man?
And that sold.
Yeah. I messaged you about something, and then you immediately came back at me with like, oh shit. Yeah, it's already happening.
Yeah. And again, that could be obviously all speculators that are buying.
What's Luna Snow doing?
You know? But honestly, do you know a speculator?
Well, I guess avoiding
who would drop 350 on a book that nobody else had dropped 100 on in close to 6 months?
I mean, maybe right, unless it's FOMO. Well, it's like, how do you want to parse out like what is FOMO versus speculator versus collector? It's hard to really say.
Yeah, I would think a gamer who may not have been collecting comics probably isn't going in to buy a graded book. They're probably just looking for a book. So I think the graded books would go to the more investor person versus the more engaged, I want to be part of this.
This does look exciting to me, though. I mean, this is all of your favorite Marvel characters all bashing the shit out of each other.
Alex, can you go through?
Watch this MVP because they have a special MVP if you buy a skin.
Oh wow!
Oh, Alex,
he got MVP. Good job, brother.
Just wait until
Alex, can you go through some of the characters and just show the character select screen because they do those cool little movements so people in the chat can see each character.
Thank you for the match, brother. It was an honor.
Yes.
Because people in the chat are asking to see some of the characters. These look great.
I will show all the characters off. So like when you queue into a game, you'll see they'll have this intro here.
Adam Warlock. That's dope.
If you buy skins that are of purple or yellow value, you'll usually get an MVP to go with it. So this would be if you are the best player in the lobby.
It's kind of like a highlight reel for Overwatch.
So if you get MVP, you get to see these special things, with skins equipped. So if you bought this skin, you get this special highlight intro that every time you perform well, you'll show it off.
Alex, can you answer a question for us here on the show?
Of course.
How much have you spent on this game so far?
$100.
I spent $5. I bought the season pass.
So
For the
I've
old guy in the room,
this
what is skin? What when you guys
Those are
say
their
skin,
costumes.
what is
Different
Costumes.
outfit for your character.
So
Yeah.
you have your default costume for your character, like you'll see here. Black Widow has this very cool skin, but then they also have something like the movie tie-in, where they have like a separate skin that you can equip, and if you bought the skin, then this would be like your highlight intro.
And the really cool thing about this game that they've done very well, that has been a big conversation in the gaming space, is like a lot of games have had like very unfriendly player monetization for the longest time.
Show the
like
Hulk one, Alex.
charging season passes, and it's like $60, and then you got to pay for this to get the expansion thing, blah 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 blah. This game came in and just said, hey, it's free to play, and if you want to buy a skin for your character, that's how we make money.
World War
So
Hulk.
it's really
right there.
player friendly, and if you don't have money, like as a
Right
kid,
here,
you can
first
play.
appears Hulk 1999, number 92.
Yep. It's
That
awesome.
book
It's
has been
showing the
dead
first appearance of
Monster.
World
How
War Hulk.
long?
Look at that. Look how cool
How
that
Yeah,
long
is.
that's
has that book
badass.
been
That's a
dead
beast of
spec?
a skin.
And then when you MVP with him, look at this.
Oh,
I think this is easily one of the best MVPs in the game.
that looks
They just
amazing.
did everything right. And when it launched, like I had no bugs. They didn't crash on me. You get into matches really, really quick. Just everything is smooth.
These
More
look great.
World War Hulk or Planet Hulk stuff. You
Captain
got
Gladiator.
Captain Gladiator. Yeah.
What's the
What
first
does
appearance
that
of that
say
one,
for
Alex?
first appearance of that one? Yeah.
Planet Hulk number 1, 2015.
Now, here's the
I'm
other
just-
thing you're going to see. As the game moves on, there's going to be other outfits that aren't going to have a comic book tie-in because they're going to be made by the game themselves. Plus,
Yes.
you know,
Like
legacy
this one,
outfits and stuff.
I
Yeah.
actually really like this collection of skins. They have one for Mantis, they have one for Hawkeye, and they have one for Captain America here. And it's kind of like, I would say, like Power Rangers-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is that mech thing they've been trying to
the
pull off. For
Imperial
decades.
Protocol. And so it's like a cool mech Captain America.
And
And
you
it
see
doesn't
says its
even
first
look like
appearance
that
is
in here.
Marvel Rivals Season 0, so it's not a
Yes.
comic book. This is just something the developers came up with on
And
their
see,
own.
if these skins go
Yeah.
crazy, they're going to put them in the comics.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And that comic.
And the thing is
the new
and they're
spec
going to
book.
add characters to the game. So it'll be like, oh, like, you know, they're going to come out, they'll drop like the hype trailer for now introducing Blade, you know, and it'll be
Yes.
his skins. And then that'll be a thing that comes in. People will get all hyped about that. And it's going to, at least in the near term, going to be very successful for a while.
Oh, this looks great, man. This is
But,
exciting.
Like, I
This
can't
is
wait to
really
be done the
exciting.
stream and go back to playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
I mean, these all look great. I'm blown away by how good this looks.
Oh no, it's a beautiful game. They
here's the
really
thing.
cooked.
Cloak and Dagger.
This is just the beginning. Marvel has such a roster of characters and environments, 60 plus years of history that this game can dive into. Like the big new releases coming up is the Fantastic Four. So Reed Richards, he's going to be a DPS. The Thing is coming. He's going to be a tank. We're not sure what Susan Storm's going to be yet. Ultron is going to be a support type of character.
Do they have
just wait till they
healers?
drop in.
There is a lot of leaks that people have put out. Like some strange characters are coming out. Like we got Jean Grey coming out. Emma
I can't wait
Frost.
for Jean Grey.
We got possibly Blade. We got
Blade's on the
Hitmonkey.
way.
We got
Yeah.
Hitmonkey. That's a leak. Angela from Spawn.
I can't wait for
Wow.
Angela, brother.
Are
Oh,
there
that'll
healers
piss
in
Todd
this?
Off. That will piss Todd off.
Hey, bud, I'm okay with it, bud.
Are there healers, you guys?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
healers. Luna Snow is a healer. Rocket
Okay.
Raccoon, he's
So-
a healer.
I can go through the categories. So if you see the two fists right here, that means they are a vanguard or a tank. If they have a fist, that means they are a duelist or a DPS. And then if they have the little hand out, that means they are support/healer.
So for those of you guys that don't know what we're talking about, in games nowadays like this that are
Here's
team
the-
games, you
here's my
have
little
different
guy.
roles, and tanks are basically a role where you want them to take all the damage. So you have the tanks be the main person that starts the battle and tries to keep all the damage going at them. And then you have DPS or attack, which is damage per second, which those are the guys who are standing back and just taking shots and at characters, right? And tanks are more
first appearance,
they
yeah.
have more health. DPS are faster and do more damage. Tanks do less damage. And then you have healing characters, which heal the tank mainly, and then will heal DPS if they're going down. And they're usually a little slower and a little more squishy, which means that they get, killed faster.
It's team-based, player versus player, and the roles. Just think of it like an NBA game. It's like you got your center, you got your point guard, you got your shooting guard.
Eric wants to know what character would Leroy Jenkins play as? Well, I think
Leroy Jenkins. Oh, that's easy. Actually, that's easy.
Well, I'm going to say Magic, because Magic likes to jump into the fray and be aggressive.
I would say Captain America, because Captain America is pretty fun. He can just jump, he can dive in, he dashes, throws shield, and then you just
say Avengers Assemble and you run in.
That's it, man. Leroy Jenkins.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
there you go.
Captain America's a pretty good tank in my opinion too. He's hard. I find him hard to use.
There's a good combo that you have to learn with him. So like once you hit people twice with his shield here, you can see it builds meter like right down below, and that's able to throw the shield.
Right. Because that's the whole thing. You gotta be able to throw his shield around. You know what I mean?
So what you want to do is you want to jump, you want to dive in, you want to auto attack, you want to dash, you want to auto attack, you want to throw your E, and then you have your shield able to back up and deal more damage.
And you have it right back after the cooldown. I gotcha.
So cool. There's so many cool combos and ways to make
and
attacks
I haven't
better
even
depending on the
every character
combo.
in this game has a team up ability.
So unlike Overwatch, you can actually combo something. So when he was playing Psylocke and I was playing Magic, he actually had a different ability to his character at that point where he could reverse time by a few seconds because we were there on the board together.
Oh, that's
so now
cool.
that I have Thor, I get right down, if you see the C ability down there. So instead of like my normal lineup, I actually get an extra ability that I can use. So I have this lightning shield where I don't have to charge up. I can just throw my shield out.
Oh, that's so
There's
cool.
a classic Hulk can throw Wolverine.
Hulk,
you know?
well,
Special.
Yeah, so the fastball special exists. Rocket can ride on Groot's shoulders and just blast things. That exists, you know?
Yeah.
Where is he?
This is so smart, and I'm glad that it's out. But I felt like, what were they doing for years and not having an MMORPG or this type of game before? I just feel like this is. Look at that! Are you kidding me?
Yeah, watch him.
Yeah.
And look at Wolverine, you guys. Look how like short and squatty he is. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, he's short. He's short Wolverine.
He's all the way up there.
When DC came out with that Universes game, what was the DC Universe game called?
The DC Universe Online or something.
Yeah.
So it's basically like their version of City of Heroes.
Right. Yep. And it was a decent game. I was actually, I went to GameStop at midnight and I got it and I came home and it took 7 hours to download it and I started playing it. And then I was there that first night and there was nobody around. When we would find other people, we'd be like, oh my God, you're somebody. Okay, cool. And then within a week, that thing was so loaded with people. And then they got hacked and the entire system went down for like a week. And it killed that game.
Yeah.
So
what
about Gwenpool?
Is that it? Oh, go ahead.
What about Gwenpool and Jeff? Do they have like a special that they do together?
So the game.
Yeah,
She's not in the
Gwenpool
game
is
yet.
not yet. There's some speculation.
Like Deadpool's not in the game, which clearly they're gonna bring him.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna milk him for all it's worth. Come on.
I think pretty cool. Cloak and Dagger and Moon Knight, weird combination, but they have a team up here.
Oh, that's cool.
So like if I'm Moon Knight, I can just hit my C ability here, and then I also get Cloak's ability, where like I can go invisible and I can just sit in here. Throw down my arm.
The big thing about this game is that it's a team-based PvP game. So it's the esport factor. Like there's been Marvel games, there's been all sorts of them, but like it's the team sport, the team-based esport aspect to it is the social aspect that makes it huge amongst people.
Well,
Yep.
you know, me and Alex just got to play a game together. That was fun. That was social. You know, like, hey, we get, you know, he's
Right.
on stream, I'm on stream. Let's do a match, and we got to do it. You know what
That's
I mean?
what makes these games so great is the social aspect. I mean, they look awesome,
Yeah.
the play is fun, but nothing matches a social aspect of having to team up with other players and having to figure out how to win battles and strategy and that type of stuff. And you lose, and then you finally win, and it's an amazing thing, and you all work
Well, Alex,
together
and
on a
you
way
can
to
talk
do
to
it.
the other players while you're doing it, right?
Yeah, so there's a voice chat. I actually unbounded it for the stream just in case like anybody said anything bad. But there is a voice chat. There's like a team chat. There's a party chat. All that. And there also, if you go into the official Marvel Rivals Discord, they have like 20 calls open at all times for every single player that you can just join a call and then like try and get a team together.
That's awesome.
I'm forming a team. It's called the Niobe Initiative. I need people to join my squad.
Yeah, I really see this doing wonders for Marvel and Marvel characters. I hope
Yeah.
it translates
Yeah,
into the
Well,
comic
and
world.
that was the reason why I wanted to have Alex on the show tonight, so that people in the audience could see where this thing is possible to go. And you don't have to, you know, and I'm not trashing Journo for this. He doesn't see it yet. Swag saw it. I saw Swag see it. I talked to my son. My son was already knee deep in it. I just didn't realize what this was.
Yeah.
Until I started putting the dots together from Swag and from him. And then now that we're watching this has infinite possibilities.
If you look at the success of Overwatch, this is going to be that and then some for Marvel.
Here's my prediction.
It goes a
This
lot
is-
back to like the heyday. Oh, this is Winter Soldier. I don't think I've played him yet. He's got a pretty cool moveset.
I don't know if they'll save this for things like Gamescom, which are like, you know, the video game type of trade shows. But I wouldn't be surprised if next year San Diego Comic-Con, the Marvel stage, is like unveiling Deadpool to Marvel Rivals. Like
You'll see that.
that's what they're gonna milk this huge at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh,
You're,
yeah.
you're going to see a lot of girls cosplaying as Luna Snow. You're going to see a lot of Jeff
sure.
the Landshark plushie toys. You're going to see a lot of people cosplaying as Magic. You know, and they may never have read a comic book before, but yet they're bringing everything to life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how many? Okay, and this goes to Jesse more than the rest of you guys. When Harley Quinn started hitting big with the cosplayers, I saw an uptick of young girls wanting to buy Harley Quinn comics. And then it started going the other direction, that DC was pushing those comics to the cosplayers. And they were doing the outfit change for New 52 and Jim Lee designing it. And it almost was like a snake eating its own tail at a certain point until Punchline came around.
Yeah, but Punchline was a big failure. I think when you're looking at Harley Quinn, you're saying Harley Quinn's going against Deadpool. You got to keep in mind, in that day and age, Deadpool and Harley Quinn, basically one saved Marvel, the other one saved DC.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so when you look at these iconic characters, it really came down to how the retailer promoted it and marketed those products in the store. As a young girl coming into a store, if Harley Quinn's not really doesn't have its own table and maybe have a little bells and whistles with it, it's most likely not going to sell. But if you really market to it, I think that was the benefit of Harley Quinn. I think if you look, if you punch in Jesse James sells 1,600 Harley Quinns in a day, that was on a Saturday. And it was 90% women that had bought that book. So
my brother's girlfriend knows nothing about comic books, right? But she likes Harley
Doesn't
Quinn.
care.
And she collects Harley Quinn stuff, you know?
I can tell you most people aren't reading these comics, but if it's part of their culture, then that's what they're going to relate to. My question about this is how many people are actually playing this game and might not actually care about the brand Marvel, but the enjoyment of the game.
The majority of
I'm
them.
sure a lot.
Well,
It's probably a lot of the Overwatch community, honestly. Because back in Overwatch 1, they had this thing where we had 6v6 gameplay, and like then they switched it to 5v5 gameplay in Overwatch 2, and people didn't really enjoy that. There are some people who obviously they're big defenders of it.
I'm one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's Overwatch. That's not Marvel.
But
No,
Marvel
but,
is
like,
basically an
that's-
Overwatch
but
clone
now
in many aspects.
this came back as 6v6. So you can have either 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 healers, unlike in Overwatch where you are forced every single game to have 1 tank, 2 DPS, and then 2 healers.
So just quick, so Jesse, you know, like Overwatch invented maybe this style of game, but they had their own OP that or IP.
Well,
intellectual
Team
property
Fortress
called
came
Overwatch.
before Overwatch, and
Right.
Overwatch copied
Right,
that.
but yeah, like the team-based shooter, but they kind of pioneered it and they made their own IP and stuff. And so this is just them making kind of a clone of that style of game with Marvel.
Yeah, you have the
And-
old
and they-
Overwatch developer really freaking out. He's like, they even copied Widowmaker and called her Black Widow, and they had to get community noted that like Black Widows existed since the 60s.
I would actually say they balanced Widow better than Overwatch did. Like, this character is legitimately like more balanced, more fun to play than Black Widow. Because in Overwatch, this right here, that just one-shots every character basically in the game. But unlike that, Widow only does 240 damage to the head. So you either have to play close and then finish them off with a melee, or you just have to 2-tap everybody.
Yeah, like Widowmaker could take out people with a headshot.
When certain
he's saying you
characters-
have to like get a couple ticks in.
When certain
me just
characters
quickly
are
go back to
more
the-
overpowered than other, it doesn't make it fun anymore. So they have to balance
Right.
the characters so it's fun.
Well, the game developers want you to play around with all of the characters and to figure out which combos work good together, not necessarily what is the one player or the one character that auto wins.
Yeah.
Well, right now the one
And-
character
and which-
auto wins is called Iron Fist.
That and Jeff.
Yeah, that and Jeff the Land Shark. But so one thing back to quickly with the journo thing is like just to defend him because I want to make sure that you know to him. He's just suspect that with the success of this game, it leads to comic books.
Well, right.
And the question is, or the thing that I throw out is just again, it's up to the people in comic books to connect the dots for those playing this game.
Well, and Swag, if you remember back to 2009, actually it wasn't until the last scene of, was it Iron Man 2, where we get that
I actually
first
really like the skin.
Infinity Gauntlet
Luna
tease.
Snow's one of my favorite characters.
Right.
Brother.
Or no, it was Avengers. It was Avengers 2011 when we get that Thanos. I can clock with a stopwatch when everybody started buying everything Thanos. And if you're a retailer that wasn't paying attention to that narrative, you were just getting stripped of everything.
And that's
then-
what Swag means by connecting the dots. So
Right.
Dennis and Jesse, I want to ask you guys, apart from just getting up a display and saying these are all the characters in Overwatch, check out their comics, is there other things retailers can do to connect the dots?
Yeah, I will tell you, I can see where 90% of the retailers are then fail on this. I'm going to give you a prime example. Here you go. Overwatch, number 1. I have 500 of these. Can't sell them, can't get $2 for them. And it comes with the keychain, right? So not
Because it's got a canceled character on the front of it.
Yeah. So not every comic is going to be successful when you match it up with the game. But I think what you have to do enhance your and again, I'm the person that has
But
no
this
idea
game is
what's going
different
on.
than Overwatch because this
Well,
game is
but-
based on comic book characters already.
I get that, but I'm talking about comic book store owners. So how is this played? Is this played on a laptop? Is it
Played
on
on
a TV?
everything.
All
of them.
everything.
formats, Jesse.
So the only way this is going to be successful in the store is if a store sets up a whole bunch of TVs and a whole bunch of laptops, invites the players in, puts those comics all over the place by the games, And that's how they're going to sell a lot of books.
Well, here's what you're not even thinking about, and I'm sure you guys are aware as comic book shop owners, they're doing Marvel Rival variants, and Marvel Rival gamers are going to want those Marvel Rival variants by Peach Momoko.
Right, but that's again.
And Jesse, I just want to correct you something.
You already know what. Go ahead.
No matter what a comic store owner tries to put out, it's not going to be as good as what my son has in his bedroom to play this game on.
Well, and that's
Let me say.
Go ahead.
Let me say this. I would throw this out. Again, thinking outside the box. If I were a retailer or one of you guys or something, I would get in touch with some of the esports teams. Like FaZe Gaming or like Team Liquid. They're already going to have a bunch of Twitch streamers that are like their pro Marvel Rival players, all this stuff, and just be like, yo, what do you guys need? Like, you want some comic books? You want to bring them to fan events? People like the Marvel Rival thing or whatever. Do some collab. Like if you're a retailer variant, I would try to do one like get a Jeff the Landshark Team Liquid.
If you can reach out to those teams like to Optic and FaZe and all those teams and say, hey, here's one of the best players in gaming, and do a variant with them, or those players are all around the country too, because they don't have to be all together. They're all around the country. So you might have some of the best esports gaming players, in your town. And if you can figure out a way to get in contact with them through social media to come to the store and maybe do some playing and, pay them a couple of shekels to sit there and just play the game and talk to fans, that might be a way to do it. That's a great point. So
well, and I think we're also missing the boat. It's not just comics, because like we've said, diversifying your portfolio of inventory, the Funkos are going to sell of all these characters.
Plushies. Plushies are going to be freaking
the Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
The Hero Clicks might start selling again.
My point is, the retailer is going to have to sell on the platform that they're playing on right now.
Yeah.
These players are most likely going to want to buy this online right after their game, before their game. They're probably not going to want to get in the car and go buy something. That's just not their DNA anymore.
Yeah, true.
But your shop has an online place where they can buy from, right?
Well, oh yeah, sure, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying.
Out there everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you're a LCS owner that doesn't have an online persona or shop or retailer, then there's a problem there already. So
right, you're already there, and that's why I'm saying there's a good portion. And I think I was talking about it this on Swag Show. I have traveled to over 400 stores, walking into stores that don't have cash registers. Their red cash register is in their pocket. These guys have no idea when those books come out what it means. And so I think in the comic book world, we always have to look at everything a little bit different as far as marketing, social awareness, platforms that it's sold on. I know I'm going to be very successful on it, but I would question some stores who don't have Facebook pages.
That's a gorgeous
attempting to sell this.
I love this Hella skin.
I think it's just
this one is a battle pass one. So you literally, if you buy the battle pass, you get the skin.
So I have that skin. I have to unlock it, right?
Yeah, but unlike most games who limit the battle pass, like you'll have a certain time in order to. Oh, thanks for the dono, by the way, Alex.
$10 super chat.
Yeah.
Yes.
He says, cheers to Jesse and Dennis and all LCS owners out there. I enjoy my LCS not only for comics, but for conversation with them a few times a week. Long live brick and mortars. Appreciate you, Alex.
That's it.
And that's why, and Swag, and I think that was mostly your chat, was like, nope, they're dead. Just put a fork in them. They're dead. And I'm like, no, it can morph into something else that doesn't die. I love to tell the story. I was watching a documentary on my way out to San Diego Comic-Con to do all my retailer stuff, and it was called All Things Must Pass, about the rise and fall of Tower Records. And I land, and I'm watching the publishers, and I'm like, and they're digital this, and they're that, and I'm just like, wow, you guys really just want to use this as a blueprint, don't you? But I hit on this one topic, which is
amongst when all the Tower Records were closing and the Virgin Records and all those record stores, as everything went to Napster and iTunes, they did not have a plan to exist beyond that. And I realized there was this thing called the hippie record store that in general, it was a little place on the outside of town that sold vinyl records in the 60s and 70s. And then as Kmart and Walmart took over all of their business, they started selling bongs, and they started selling incense, and they started selling blacklight posters, and they started trading in used cassettes and used records. And they stayed alive long enough to come out on the other side that when Jack White saw the benefit of vinyl, he said, hey guys, my next album is not going to be released on DVD or on CD. It's not going to be released on iTunes. It's going to be released on vinyl, and you have to go find a vinyl store to buy it.
That looks unreal.
Overnight. Huh?
That looks unreal.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah. I love this skin. Plus, it has an awesome highlight intro.
So at that point, all of these little tiny hippie vinyl stores,
we got Chasm, we got Normal.
All of the crashes of the 2000s, they all started getting new product, and these kids started coming in. And I think I just saw a stat that said 80% of kids buying vinyl don't even have a vinyl player.
Yeah.
Tony Fix says, I love games, but trying to tie a video game to comic book speculation is not a great idea. Did you not report Swag Jeff the Landshark 9.8 sold for $525?
Yeah, I would. The one question I have for you, Swag, now that I'm thinking about this, who is going to the value of these books that you're talking about? Who is creating those values? Is it LCS owners, or is that third market sellers that are selling it themselves? They're buying from the store and then selling it on the second or third market.
Yeah, I think it's secondary market people that are buying all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's the guys who are buying it. Again, we discussed on the show. It's probably still, the same demographic of speculators, not the people playing the game. But yeah. And who knows if it ever will be. I just think it's interesting. I mean, I'm just here to cover it and be
What's
like,
that
hey,
first
I think
appearance,
that this
Alex?
can have an effect.
Secret Avengers 2010 number 19.
Okay, Alex just spiked that book. Everyone blame Alex now that this book's gone out of control.
Jeff, go out and buy it. Go out and buy it 9.8.
Remember how the Moon Knight show killed the Mr. Knight character? This game's gonna resurrect him.
I hope so. Right? I hope so. And here's the other thing. I gotta be. The first thing that I thought when I started seeing these skin first appearances is I'm gonna go research them all. I just got a new collection in that's got a ton of Marvel from that era where a lot of these skins were in those books. And I'm going to pull those books and
You'd be dumb not to.
Yeah. Well, and I was Brian, I completely forgot who I was directing this to. I was saying in the chats on your show when everybody was like, oh, Marvel has lost the plot. Oh, nobody cares about this anymore. And I'm like, guys, Marvel's job is to create IP for Disney. That's their only purpose. Okay. And as Marvel would create these IPs, and much like Scott Snyder did with DC and the Metal Universe, the corporations need more skins to sell. They need more action figures to sell. They need more T-shirts to sell. They need more posters to sell. They don't care if no one's reading the comic, but they need fresh stuff to start pumping into the licensing world. And that's what they were doing all those years where everybody was like, oh, God, this is the worst new idea Marvel ever had. Right now, it's the most popular player on one of these games.
78 points of articulation says another interesting thing to talk about is the look of these character designs. Our comics rarely look like this. Would bringing in more of this modern animation look help attract new readers? Swag, you talked about this in how these developers are Eastern developers and how that's a big part of this. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, could that help?
If you tell me this, it doesn't look exactly like a Peach Momoko cover.
The women look like women. The men look like men. The women are sexy. The men are huge and bulky. It feels that testosterone. I'm just going to say it. It's non-woke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
I agree with you,
Well,
Niobe.
and that's I mean, listen, like that, like woke this, woke that. It's just like people like the power fantasy.
Yeah.
You know, like when I play Magneto, I want to look like a grizzled, you know, World War II veteran who's fucking jacked. You know, it's like I like that too.
That's,
you know,
that's
so
pretty much me
yeah.
right now.
But
That's him.
Look at
Well,
this
what I
last
was-
comment in the chat. My daughter loves Jeff the Lancer. She took the book off my unread stack yesterday.
yeah.
There you go.
What I'll just say, Brian, to your question is, so I did a lot of work with Riot Games, and they made League of Legends and Valorant and stuff. And if you guys watch the Arcane show on Netflix, it's so good. But in their internal data, you know, they were an American company and they went global and they became like the biggest esport in the world. And you could just see like the skins that sold, and I got all their numbers and they would show it to me as I was doing like creative work and stuff. And it just time and time again, it's like the skins that are more Eastern anime aesthetics, those are the ones that sold. And the characters that they came out with, like that were more either K-pop style, you know, or Psylocke looking, you know, that type of character versus like, oh, I'm going to make the Incredible Hulk. Like it's that style that was always more popular. And this was like time and time again. And you could see that. And you could actually see that with the development of their game. Like at first they would create like monster characters that would be like a werewolf or, you know, a Incredible Hulk looking character. And then over time, it's like now all their new characters are like, you know, characters that would be like in Niobe's comic book, you know, like, and it's just because this is clearly what the trend of the kids really liked. And so I was just sort of saying, like, I think
it is 20. Yeah. So I have the 2099. I also have the Thunderbolts Punisher, and this is the normal Punisher.
Yeah, and just to put a point on it, like just to, in the chat, where somebody was saying, well, like, oh, the character designs look great. It's like this has that sort of anime Eastern style that I think, yeah, this is the futuristic take. This is the 2024 take on Punisher.
Well, you look at Psylocke.
Well, you know?
Look at Psylocke. We were all excited. I remember Psylocke spec went through the roof when we had X-Men Apocalypse.
Days of Future Past, yeah.
And then all of a sudden we see what they put one of our favorite hot nerd girls in, and we're like, yeah, that's not Psylocke.
Yeah.
And that spec died really hard and really fast, and I bet you this is going to bring it back.
Bigger Drawing says, I saw a video which called this game woke because Squirrel Girl is in it. Well, if that's all it takes these days, then I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean?
I honestly think Squirrel Girl has some of the best dialogue with characters in this game because
looks great.
as you queue into a game, every character has like its own dialogue with other characters. So like what team you're running can also like have just different interactions. Like they'll have dialogue before the game starts where they'll like talk to each other and stuff. So it's like, oh, Squirrel Girl is talking to like Jeff the Land Shark or Groot. She was talking to Groot and like she understood like what Groot was saying somehow, and like she was like, oh man, if I see Doom again, I'm gonna beat him up like I did before or something like
they'll
that.
throw in all the old lore. And what's cool is you'll actually see at the tab it says lore, so people who want to know more about these characters can actually read something about them. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know. Again, I'm looking at the retail side of it. When you put your books out, you have about a 1 to 2 second snapshot for a customer to look at a cover out of all the 100 covers on the wall and say, "Oh my gosh, I'll buy that." And it has to look cool. It has to look like these covers. It's kind of like Swag in his background. I think if Swag had ROM 17, Dazzler 12, and whatever Heroes for Hire 7, probably no one would be looking at his back wall. They'd be saying, "What? I'll pass," right? And so everything is a snapshot in the comic book world. So if you do these as covers, I could see you having its own display on this. I really think
they're already out there, Jesse.
A lot of money.
Marvel's been doing them for the last month, maybe 2 months.
Well, I'm talking about creating a display.
Yeah, I agree with Jesse on this.
Yeah.
As a retailer, I have already started directing, and luckily my new warehouse manager plays this game as well, nowhere near as Niobe and Alex. But I've already told them every skin, we're looking up the issue, we're digging through Amazon stock, we're digging through trade paperback stock. anything that would relate to this kind of games exposure is going to have its own section in our store.
Yep.
Well,
And
I'll tell you
that's
the
what you
effect
have
it
to
had
do.
on me, and that's a smart idea because I never even heard of the character Luna Snow until I played this game. And the first thing I did was seek out her first appearance. You know what
And
I mean?
I've got 50 copies of that book somewhere in my warehouse.
And I want to make sure I got it before my comic book shop owner realized it was going to go up.
Oh yeah, you put NFL Super Pro #1 in this, or NFL Super Pro, dude.
Oh,
I'm
could you
retired.
imagine if Super Pro's in this? Holy cow!
Yeah, I mean,
Don't even.
I'm
Don't. They
copies.
were already talking about pipes in the chat. This is a total pipe dream. Super Pro will never make it into this.
Why
game.
not? Why not?
Why not?
Right now, somewhere there's a Marvel Overwatch developer listening to us. He's like, "Oh, Super Pro,
Yeah.
that's a good idea, John."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This
There's
game
no
looks awful.
reason.
I'll say it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't really like that one as much.
Niche
But Groot's a-
characters,
Groot is a
rare
beast in
characters.
the
Oh, that
game.
looks
Groot
great.
does look awesome though. Like just in general,
Yeah.
I love his skin. It's a very like 2000s cartoony
It just
like
looks
Guardians
good.
of the Galaxy.
100%.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be searching for certain characters that don't have to be these huge, already known about characters, and those weird characters like Luna Snow or Jeff the
yeah.
Land Shark.
Look, I never
Super
heard
Pro.
of Jeff the Land Shark either until this
Yeah.
game.
No,
Yeah,
I,
you
heard,
know what I mean?
I had heard Jeff the Land Shark on the old shows, the Nico shows. Nico was a huge Jeff the Land Shark fan, right?
Well, Jeff the Land Shark was a big Prospect 10 character that we all kind of went
Yeah.
in on because of the Prospect 10. So, those old school Flipside days were amazing. You could learn a lot
Yeah.
about comics by going through those old Flipside
That's the
days.
first time I ever heard that. And the only cover I think I own for Jeff the Land Shark is the Gwenpool Coppertone cover.
Yeah.
But I could see that cover exploding over this.
And I can see a lot of Jeff the Land Shark variants coming out from
Yeah.
Marvel over this.
Yeah.
They already
Well,
are.
and it's just, even outside the spec, it's just like this game clearly is going to make more Jeff the Land Shark fans
Yes.
than
There'll be
those
more fans
comics
of every
ever.
character that's
But
on
And I
the
mean,
list.
nothing for nothing, but if I hit left shift,
Look at him. Look at him. You see, he's sailing through the land.
That's
all you see is his
great.
fin.
That's awesome.
and he
What
also
Jeff the Land
starts.
Shark can do is he can swallow like a group of people, swim them to the edge of the map, shoot them out, and kill them all. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
No,
cool.
good stuff.
But here's the thing. Also, guys, it's Moneyball. Okay, Jeff the Land Shark, 9.8, 350, 500, whatever it is. But if you're currently hanging on to Hulk 92 and it's only going for 20 and it used to go for 200 and the spec died, it's sitting in a box that's making you $0 right now. If all of a sudden people want to start paying 20 or 25 or 30, that's Moneyball. Take that money.
Amen.
Yeah, I think as a
for
retailer,
sure.
the only concern I would be is how much do you invest in something, and where do you stop investing in it? So again, new to this, I'm looking at this. I would have to do more research, see when more players are coming out, and what percentage am I going to invest every month into the store?
I think that answer, Jesse, comes from how many people come into your store and ask, hey,
Asking.
yeah, do you have
Right.
anything of these characters or these
Like-
rivals?
If I were you, I'd just start, casually start putting out some of the stuff and just see. You know what I mean?
That's my opinion on this. I'm not waiting till the first person comes in and goes, "Hey, do you have this?" I'm going to go out and proactively find whatever I have that'll feed this market.
Well, let
and
me ask you
build
this,
now.
Dennis. Are you going to go out and start buying the new books because of all the new rival variants? Are you maybe is it in your head?
Don't tempt my ass, because then I'd have to buy new books again. Damn it.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
could this be
there's-
enough?
Me and Dennis know how to get away around that. So
I
that's
know,
not
but
a-
like,
that's not an issue.
you can call a friend and have them put in an order of a bunch of new books.
And that's and I'll dabble in it for sure.
Yeah.
If the covers, imagine if the covers look like the headshot variants by Todd Newlock, but it's a full body image and it's a themed cover where it has the Marvel Rivals logo under Deadpool, you know, for the release of Deadpool, and the image of the character looks exactly like what the release is going to be, I'm in.
Yeah.
Alex,
Did you
put
see
it
the
on,
Brian? Did you see
Luna
the Marvel
Snow
Rivals
with her classic outfit,
covers?
like her normal
Of
outfit?
course, of course, of course, of course. Yeah.
What
Her
are you saying,
classic
Spag?
outfit.
Yeah, like her default.
Yeah.
There we go. This outfit here is going to be what you're going to see in conventions next year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you're telling me the girl that makes that isn't going to buy a $5 comic, a $10 variant, if she sees it at a show or sees it at your store?
Yeah,
So I
I
put
think
the Brian
Luna
in
Snow
the
sold
private
me
chat.
alone, and then the gameplay of her was even better. It made me buy a comic with her in it.
Well,
You know?
and here's the other thing. And guys, I'm not just saying this because my son's half Asian. This is a predominantly Asian themed character. Okay.
Yeah, she's
Korean,
a
no.
K-pop star. She's
Yeah.
a
Right.
K-pop star.
Naomi's a K-pop star.
That feeds a demographic that isn't fed at all in our world. You know, so it does what's his name? Swordmaster. You know, this is a wide spectrum. Like I said, when we took all those Overwatch figures that didn't sell in my comic book store and we took them to an anime convention, it was every demographic was buying these Overwatches because they have projected themselves onto that character, and that character is them, and they have to own an icon of them. Actually, I got a really good side story here. So in 1996, I was one of the biggest Micronaut dealers in the country. So much so that I put on the first ever Micronaut convention, and I got invited to help pitch Micronauts to all the toy companies. And I hit on the one theme that the creator of the Micronauts here in the US never figured out. And that's why he was just absolutely just in love with where I was going with it. And so as the biggest Micronaut dealer, I would get people contact me through the magazines that I advertised in. And I got contacted by Kadeem Hardison. If you don't know, he was on a show called A Different World, which was a Cosby spinoff. Big actor, Eddie Murphy, Vampire in Brooklyn. He was kind of Chappelle before Chappelle. So he calls me up. He goes, "Hey, man, I love these things as a kid, and I just saw your ad. I want the one with the afro." And I'm like, huh. I go, are you talking about? And I kind of looked at one of the figures, and I was like, oh, I guess that's kind of an afro. And then one of the largest Micronaut collectors I became friends with. And he was like, hey, man, we all thought this one was Richie Valens because he had a pompadour. Okay, now all of the heads were created by Japanese toy creators in the 70s. And these were just different hairstyles they put on these silver-headed figures. And they got released in the US. And all of a sudden, you know, black kids could project themselves onto this silver head. Mexican kids could project themselves onto this silver head. So you have to have this ability to project yourself onto these different characters. And by having this wide spectrum, they've done that. And people are going to put themselves into this game and into those characters, and they're going to build these characters just like you see my son down here. He builds the characters that he loves. That's what they're going to take a vested interest in the character that they choose that they want to be.
I think we also have to remember, and a lot of people that are watching this live and in the replay are going to probably have the same type of feeling that Tony has, where he says that, you know, this is just pet spec at the moment, and, you know, none of these are this isn't a fully rounded character, and that, you know, this is you're chasing pet spec and it doesn't turn out well. A lot of people, you got to remember, this isn't about spec. This isn't about speculation. What we're talking about tonight, I mean, yeah, we talked about it with Swag and based on his video and spec. This is about creating excitement in the industry. This is about creating
the needle.
Yeah, moving the needle. This has nothing. Don't get me wrong. You know, I love speculation, and a lot of my content is you know, grown and based on speculation. But for this show and this type of thing, this is about creating excitement in the industry and the hobby to make the industry stronger. And I really think that this can do something.
And like I first went into a comic book store off of the Tim Burton Batman film. That's the reason my dad took me to a comic book store. And I bought comic books and stuff. But what really made me a fan was the X-Men animated series and the Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah.
And this is that for this generation.
Yeah.
That's my guess. And that's all I'm saying.
Then actually, Brian, did you see in the chat, Swag put that? Yeah. Look at these covers. I mean, this is exactly what I was describing. This is
this is on FOC this week right now. So, yep.
That's going to be huge.
Yeah.
These are a lot of these are already out. These are what I'm talking about, Dennis. These have been out for the last month or so.
I haven't paid attention. You know me.
You should.
I'm going to now.
Yeah, I think just because someone buys a cover because they like it doesn't mean it's spec, and I think that's the very important part. I can already tell you, as a big online store, comic book store, a good portion of my sales are then come from online. About I would almost say 75% are then come from online. The people that come into the store, I think, will be people that either pops or they are spec collectors. I don't see the common collector saying, "Oh, give me that Rivals cover," unless they have a kid. But the technical comic book fan, which is majority of the store, is probably just going to want cover A as normal. But again,
I buy Peach Momoko, but I'm buying the Magic cover.
Well, that's you. Yes, I have to sell to you individually, but I also got to sell to my other 7,800 customers how they buy as well. So,
but see, here's the thing, Jesse. How many of those 7,800 customers have a kid at home that they're just now discovering plays this game?
I've been doing this for 43 years. I'm going to tell you right now, a good portion of those guys are going, or guys and gals, are then spend the $5 for the book in their pool box or the book that they need before they buy a book for their kid. That's just the way it works, Dennis. And you know that.
No. I hand sold all kinds of books to the parent for the kids. My famous story is the time I put that Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur, Marvel $3 timely in the hand of the daughter who got dragged into the comic book store with dad. And dad was so excited that there was finally something in her hands that she gave a shit about.
Exactly. That's the Mike Hansen story that I'm talking about. This is parents, can find a way to now have something with their kids where their kids might not have been into comics before, and now they can say, hey, that game you're playing, they're doing these covers for that game, check these out.
I think it's kind of funny how people will spec on the MCU, but people say don't spec on this game is bigger than the MCU, man.
Great point. Great
well
point.
And here's the thing, here's another thing. So this game is free, 72 million hours, 10 million players, whatever the number is, that number is going to grow. It's going to grow big. The biggest Marvel movies hit 1 million or 1 billion, 2 billion at $10 ticket prices. That is 200 million people seeing a Marvel movie at the height. 200 million people paying $10 to make 2 billion. 100 million people. Any billion-dollar Marvel movie had 100 million people saw it. Okay, what?
Go ahead. I then counter you on this, but go ahead.
And those didn't move the comic book needles almost at all. Marvel was still selling 100,000 of the closest thing to a movie tie-in, etc. But when you look at the spec that came off of those, the spec was driven off of those. That's a secondary market to the to the primary market that never got an impact. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, but you're talking about time spent on a movie that you're going to spend 2 hours versus someone who's playing a video game for 30 hours a week.
Right.
So they're vested.
What do you value? Right. What do you value more?
Well, you then go with the person that's vested more because they are going to buy a plethora of stuff. I don't look at this as a retailer. I look at this as saying, I'm going to sell comics, I'm going to sell plushies, I'm going to sell keychains, I'm going to sell hats, I'm going to sell shirts. That's how I look at it.
How many primary characters are there right now, Niobe and Alex?
33.
And there's a lot more coming. A lot more coming.
No, I know. But right now, 33, an average of what? 3 skins per character?
Yeah, the only character that doesn't have 3 skins is Moon Knight.
Okay, but you get my point. If you're not right now, if you're a comic book retailer and you're not right now figuring out what those 100 rough characters and costumes are, and that's just the 100 characters and costumes. Forget about all the second appearances, third appearances, and fourth appearances, and all of that. If you're not grabbing everything in your back stock that's towards that, and you're not buying specific collections that will cater to those 100 characters and 100, covers, etc., you're missing this boat now.
But
I'll also look at it like this: right around the corner, and everyone's hyped, is going to be the Marvel Fantastic Four movie, right? It's going to be a big, big deal. Well, Marvel Rivals' next big release is the Fantastic Four.
Right.
They're not stupid,
Yeah, but will people buy back issues of Fantastic Four or just issues that are related to this game?
Well, listen, I saw a kid walk into the LCS, 9 years old, looking for Fantastic Four books. In particular, like, it's one thing to go in and look for Spider-Man and Deadpool because they hear about it all the time. When was the last time you saw a youngster ask for FF? You know what I mean? It blew my mind. So if they're playing the Thing on the video game and Dad happens to walk them into the comic book shop, it doesn't matter what the issue is. If they see the Thing on the cover, they might want that.
And it has to be at a good price.
Right. $1.25 at your Tremart might sell the books.
Because now at this point, you're talking about $1.25 price point. Every grandma and grandpa is going to walk into a Dollar Tree and buy their kid a $1.25 comic. You better have something around that same price to sell grandma when she takes that kid to a comic book store. If you don't, you're going to miss that big boat, etc.
Go ahead, Swag.
And I just think that the main takeaway, and going back to even how you guys started the show, and shout out to Haven for Heroes, who had a comment that said, well, would be nice if Marvel had marketed this game to their main customers, the LCS. And I think it just goes back to, like, they're just not going to do it.
Yep.
Because the cavalry's not coming.
Right.
So it's just sort of like, hey, this game's hot. Retailers, how are you going to capitalize?
Yep.
That's really the question.
Well, the comic books are advertising the game via the covers and advertisements within the pages. The game is advertising the books by putting down the first appearances and the lore. It's up to you guys to figure out what you're doing.
Right, but I think the kid that comes in who's playing this game, and all of a sudden the spec guys or the comic book stores are upping their prices to $50 to $75 when this kid is expecting to pay $4 or $5. That's the difference.
How many dollar books are in your bin that you can flush out that have these characters in them somewhere?
Oh, thousands.
Then start doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm just talking about where they refer that issue to that character.
Kids
I
don't
see
care
something
about
interesting in the
collecting,
chat.
They don't care about first prints, and they don't care about first appearances. Kids just want to read stuff for cheap.
But
I don't even
when
think
was
they
the
wanna
last time
read it.
you were in the store? When was the last time you were in
Wednesday.
the store, Niobe?
Wednesday.
How many kids were in the store under 20 years old?
Well, I've given you 2 accounts of where I've seen kids
Okay,
under
so
20 years
2.
old in the store. And you know what? They my store caters in manga as well. They also cater in Pokemon cards. They also cater in Magic. They also cater in Warhammer 40K. They have kids all
every
the
store in the
time.
nation. That's
So
every
then your
store in the
question's
nation.
irrelevant. So you
No,
know
it
the
is
answer. Like
relevant.
kids come in for
You
Pokemon
just
cards.
told me-
Kids come in
you
for a
just
variety of
told me
things.
Kids are coming into the store for this product. But then you mentioned all
But
the other
then they walk
products.
by the shelf and see the thing that they're playing the video game on, and it makes them stop for the impulse buy, dude. What part of this do you not understand?
That I don't understand. I
Yes,
don't
that
think
you
you
don't
understand. You don't understand what I'm saying. That's the problem.
No, the
what I'm
problem is you
saying
got
is-
too ancient of a mentality not to pick
I
up
don't
the
have an
video
ancient
game is
mentality.
bigger
I know
than the
more stuff in the
MCU.
comic book world, and I can outsell you and out-promote you and out-market you.
We'll
But
see.
that's not the point. The point is, if the store owner does not market, that's why I'm trying to explain to you. Store owners aren't going to won't understand how to market this to a kid walking in.
Well,
'Cause that
judging
kid's
by your
going
questions,
straight
that
to
tells me you might be
Pokemon.
one of them.
The what?
No,
You might be one of them.
No, I'm not one of them. You didn't even hear what I
Well, I
said.
think you get-
How do you
Listen,
plan
I'm
on
gonna
marketing this to
I'm
the
gonna
kids? What's
sell
going to be your
500
strategy
to
going
1,000
forward, Jesse
copies
James,
of
to get
the
this in the hands of kids? What are you
nonstop.
going to do?
So you calling me Jurassic is bull BS.
Hold
you don't
on,
know
so-
me. I don't know you.
So Derek Naiman says, I wonder how many players of Rainbow Six went out and bought Tom Clancy novels. And you know, that's a great question. A ton went out and bought
I'll
Tom
tell
Clancy
you,
novels.
I'll go even
Yeah,
further
I think a lot
back
did.
into the Stone Age.
I mean,
I
I bought a Tom Clancy novel when I played Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, but I played a game called Quest Probe. It was not a Scott Adams adventure game that you bought on a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk and played on the Apple IIc. And Marvel came out with a 3-issue or a 1-issue Quest Probe, and then Quest Probe showed up in Marvel Fanfare. I couldn't solve that game. I bought both of those comics only because I played Quest Probe. And I thought maybe there would be some secret hint in the comic book that would help me understand how to play that game. Okay. That goes back to 13-year-old Dennis Barger. That's the power of games and comic books. If you can draw that line, you can see it coming true.
Well, we are 2 hours and 50 minutes in, you guys. We're going to call this a night. I want to say thanks to Swaggle House. I want to say thanks to Alex. I want to say thanks to Larry and Niobe Comics. Make sure you guys go check out all their stuff.
I want to tell one more story before we go, Brian. I'm sorry.
Well, hold on. I'm going to let these guys get out of here, and then we'll tell the story.
No, I want to tell the story with Alex here.
Okay, go ahead.
Also, I saw a couple of people like saying like, "Oh man, I skins might be expensive. That it's going to be hard to get skins." Honestly, Marvel Rivals is pretty great. Like unlike most Marvel things where I think they charge a lot of money for obviously like to get something. There's a lot of free stuff in this game. Like starting off, if you play this game, you get like 4 free skins. You get the Iron Man for the launch. You get Moon Knight if you play ranked and reach gold level. You get a free Spider-Man skin if you play on PlayStation. You get a free Penny skin if you have like PlayStation Plus, and then you also get a free Magneto skin if you watch enough hours on Twitch. And so I think they're incentivizing a lot around the game. If you play this game, you get a free glider in Fortnite, and they're like collaborating with a lot of things. So I think they're really approaching this game really well.
So wait, if you play this game, you get a free thing in Fortnite?
Yeah.
Is this created by the same?
No,
not at all.
That's amazing that they're doing
it's
that.
Epic Games. I think Epic Games bought them, but like it's created by NetEase, and Fortnite's kind of like their whole own thing. But
That's
they
amazing.
did collaborate because
That's
it's
amazing.
like Epic titles.
All right, before we let Alex go, Niobe, when is the next drop for the Antarctic Press version of Niobe Comics? When's the next book coming out?
when we do the next drop for the Kickstarter. So we're going to do the Kickstarter for Outbreak 4 in February, and then probably a month or two after that, Antarctic will have the files, and we'll get that out onto the shelves. Savage Sin 2 we want to mail out, but Canada Post is on strike right now, so we have to wait for the strike to end before we can mail books out.
There we go. So, you guys go follow Niobe Comics. Appreciate you, brother. Swag.
Hey,
What do you have? What do you have coming up next, man? What's the next big thing you're working on?
Yeah, well, I just fulfilled my Kickstarter, for issues 2 and 3 of my comic that I wrote, Sanity. And then I think, in January or February sometime, I'll probably do a little retail launch, maybe another flamethrower type of spot that I have to put together. So, that's kind of the next big thing I got to work on.
Hell yeah, brother.
And the one thing with Swag, I just want to say real fast, how has your shipping evolved? You sound like you've really spent a lot of time making your shipping a better experience for your customers.
Yeah, well, I tried to make it, you're doing a Kickstarter thing, and I wanted it to feel nice when you got the thing. And there's all these little tchotchkes and stuff so that it wasn't able to fit in a Gemini. So I had to kind of like do a custom box for it, and I I just spared no expense. I just was like, hey, I'm going to do a custom box. Let me put some
Swag,
artwork on
I
this.
redesigned a T-mailer to do exactly that. Get a hold of me sometime, and I'll send you one.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. I'm learning so much about, shipping and boxing.
Okay,
and
let me just tell this quick story.
packaging.
So Alex had his first birthday in our comic book store. He was 1 year old when we opened, less than 1 year old when we opened. The week we opened, this nice little old lady walks into the store and she's like, yeah, I'm looking for action figures of Batman. And I'm like, oh, they're right over there on that shelf. And little 1 year old Alex is running around the store and he walks up to the old lady while she's looking at the toys. And she goes, picks up a figure and she goes, is this a good one? And he shakes his head no. And then he reaches over and points at this other figure right next to it. And she puts that figure back and grabs the one that Alex said and brings it up, and it's a $10 action figure. So I ring her up. I thank her for sale, blah, 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 and I just have to go look. And I go over to look at the one she picked up, and it was a $5 figure. This kid at 1 year old upsold a little old lady to a $10 figure.
There you go. Yeah.
Nice.
That's when I knew my DNA was solid in there.
Alex, hey man, you're doing good, brother, and
Thank you.
we can't wait to have you on again at some point. And thanks for joining us, man.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Much love.
Hi, guys.
Good night.
All right,
Thanks for coming in.
peace. All right. Awesome stuff. Amazing stuff,
Yeah.
you guys.
Are we still live?
We
Yeah,
are still
yeah.
live. Yes,
Oh,
we are
okay.
still live.
So
So,
the chat,
Let me
did you
say
like
something
that?
real fast. I'm not mad at all.
of course you're
So
not.
I've already moved past it.
Yeah,
All right. So you guys don't have to say everything you're saying about Niobe. Go follow him. Go support him. Don't let
Yeah.
that little spat. That's just two guys talking, guys.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, what are your guys' final thoughts on the two needle movers? Do you think that the $1.25 reprints are going to bring people to buy more comics or more trades or bring more money into the comic industry?
Well, I will say this. It brings, first of all, more money into DC, okay, which I think they are faltering. The absolute, all of the absolutes was a direct response to the Ultimate Universe from Marvel. So DC always follows. This is actually the first preemptive step that does not negatively affect comic book brick and mortar stores to the negative, to the detriment. However, this brings money into them. It puts it in the hands of people who do not come into our stores on a very small percentage basis. Maybe, what would you say, Jesse? Less than 1% probably are frequent customers of LCSs that go to a Dollar Tree regularly.
Maybe 2%, 5% max.
Right.
Depending on your
So
area.
when you see something from our world hit a market that we are not saturated into, that is a benefit for the entire industry. Okay. And here's the thing. I think I talked about this on an earlier show. Dollar Tree already had a comic book. They had a comic book that went along with their little $1 action figure
or
line.
not Ignition.
Faction.
Battle.
Faction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were already dabbling this, and I was already talking about how the fuck does Dollar Tree have a dollar comic book? And this was before inflation made it $1.25. How do they have that and we don't have a dollar book, brand new content to sell in our stores? This is a game changer. This is a needle mover. So when you start seeing things like that on one side, then you see Marvel spending years to develop this thing. 8 months for this rollout, and the rollout being as huge as it is. And then to have it also tie so directly into the comic market, I see nothing but pluses from both of those. At the same time, how we started this episode, and if you're just watching now, go back and watch the beginning. As Diamond is falling apart, as Marvel is safe over at Penguin, as DC is safe over at Luna.
Yeah. Jesse,
Yeah.
what do you think?
So, yeah, so I think the Dollar Tree, the first thing is awareness. If you have these in 22,000 stores, and let's just say they're in half that, 11,000 store, it's awareness. A lot of times you can look at something in a place and not buy it, but you see it, right? And then you're online or you go into a comic book store, you might buy it. So that's the first thing. You create awareness. Oh, comic books. I haven't seen comic books since I was a kid going to 7-Eleven. So it reinvents that buying power in your head. And so I think the awareness is the biggest part. The second part, I think, is how they market this socially. If they market this socially that, hey, you can get number one, but guess what? You can go online, you can go into a comic book store, you can go on eBay, Amazon, and pick up the rest of the book. That's where the money is. And that's where DC is then make most of its money.
Well,
right?
except for Jesse, just an added thing, and you pitched him earlier, Ollie's has about half of those trade paperbacks for $5 freaking.
Exactly. And so you it's already technically happening. It's just in Dollar Tree, and DC was able to get some marketing out of this. If you go to Dollar General, we could see Dollar General teaming up with Marvel, right? And saying, hey, or Marvel coming to Dollar General and saying, hey, this is what they're doing over there. That's the imprint. That's what they're doing. We can do better. We're then give you 2 books, right? We're then give you 2 number ones in a pack. So that's where you see that. I think when it comes to the gaming, where I'm only looking at the marketing side, I know I'm going to be very successful on it because I'm going to sell a lot of these. And what it's then be is I'm going to go to where these players are playing, which is in a different platform than the LCS. I'm still going to sell them in the LCS. I'm going to sell a ton in the LCS for people that come to that display and want to buy it. But what I was trying to explain earlier was that that's not every store owner across the nation. They just look at it as another book that came out this week.
Yeah. Okay.
They won't understand the marketing aspects of it. They won't understand setting up those laptops and those TVs and sponsoring someone. That was the point I was getting to. Was I'm already fine with how I'm going to do it, but when we get to the nuts and bolts of the industry, I think there's going to be some struggle there.
And I think Swag missed out on the bigger opportunity, which is, I guarantee you, I'm not gonna guarantee you because I've seen them whiff before, but I would suggest to Marvel and Disney that you put 6 or 12 of the top players of Marvel Rivals on that stage at San Diego. Yeah. Playing this on the big screen above, and you know, your Thunderbolts is gone, your Fantastic Four has just already come out. What do you have to promote? You have this game. And if you have the 12 top gamers playing Marvel Rivals all San Diego long, that is a needle mover at San Diego.
Sure. I would put number one, whoever gets first place, I'd put them on the cover.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how successful this is going to be to the people that pivot, you know, that do live streaming, that have big eBay page or Amazon page, is in playing in every platform. That's how this becomes successful. Other than that, I think both are fantastic, and it's one more bonus for us to take advantage of if we know how to do it.
And I just want to add one more thing. This will be my last thing. Anybody who's followed me on socials since 2008 when I jumped on MySpace knows how much I do all of this for my kids. I love my kids implicitly. It was such a proud honor to have my son come on tonight.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Tell that. He did a good job.
21 years of just watching that young man grow up into be a 21-year-old man, and just he handled himself like a pro.
He did. Yeah. He did a good job, man, and you should be proud of him. So that being said,
hold on, Naomi, I see you in the room. It's all good, brother.
Hell yeah.
We're good to go. Don't worry about
So that being said, you guys, there's 100 of you that stayed with us through the majority of the show. If you haven't hit that like button, please do. It'll really help us. And thank you so much for being live and active in the chat and hanging out with us tonight. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We are very close to 3,000 subs with less
How
than
many are we
100.
away from 3,000?
Less than 100 as far as I can tell. Let's take a look here. We are at 2,948. So we
There
are
we go.
52
Okay,
away
Brian,
from 1,000.
next week, if we hit a 3,000 number, I'm going to give away a prize on the show.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
That's incentive to sub up, boys and girls. I'm going to give a pretty sweet little prize.
So make sure you guys sub up if you're not subbed up, and come hang out with us every Tuesday for the Industry of Comics show. We'll see you next time. Adios.